And we should be live now. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to yet another installment of Userone Talks. Now, I'm sorry I couldn't prepare the Halloween theme I wanted to, but yeah, we're gonna have to do the usual way, do the good old fashioned way. Hope you guys like my new haircut. Hold on, let me turn the light on so that you guys can see me better. Oh, do you like the stand? That's the stand that I filmed the green screen video on. Anyway, yeah, how you guys doing? I'm doing quite well myself, actually. I've had a couple of people ask me how I'm doing. A lot of people mentioning that, they're like, oh, what's up, user one? You look a little distressed. It's just the looks, okay? I'm obviously distressed because, I got a lot of stuff going on in my life, but it's all manageable, okay? It's all manageable. It's chill. We got this. Anyway, we're supposed to turn the sound off. Been doing this for 5 years. Well, four technically, because I started live streaming since 4 years ago. But the channel was already 5 year old. Anyway, let's go on to what we're gonna go over today. So, the topic I want to talk about today is unrealistic roleplay. And if you don't know, my name is Userone. I like to roleplay. I've been in roleplaying communities, and I have my own community that is, well, it does not have a game server at the time, but it is a community that you can join. It's actually down in the description. It's called Roleplay Union. All you need to do to join is you need to verify that you, in fact, have been a member of any roleplay community that needs a verification to join. And after that, I can show it to you right now. All it takes is just very simple. Hold on, let me just make sure I got this right. So, if you go to the link, what will happen is you will end up on this page called "How to Get Verified." There you go. I'll show you the page now. So this is the page. It's called "How to Get Verified." The requirement to join is only one. You need to prove that you have access to any hardcore roleplay server, and a hardcore roleplay server is a server that requires applications to join, even if you're banned now. And today we will actually host interview with those that will be verified through this, through this method. We have a lot of people, joining our community. Right now we have 75 people verified on right now, and it'll be interesting to see what they have to say. But let me just set up the topic for the discussion before we begin. So, I had a lot of trouble with something called unrealistic roleplay because it's such an ambiguous thing. It's varying from a person to person, and it seems to be that like this common excuse for administrators to pretty much do whatever. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against administrators trying to keep things realistic. That absolutely is the point of a roleplay server. That being said, sometimes they're so ambiguous that they end up punishing a person for something that they couldn't know that they weren't allowed to do. In my opinion, that shouldn't be the case. In my opinion, if a person couldn't possibly know that what they are doing was not against the rules, then you shouldn't punish them. And this is it's a big problem because the punishments are, sometimes very ridiculous, like a year ban. Like Clontix received a year ban. That wasn't for unrealistic, that's a different thing. But he was falsely banned for J-bugging. Let's move on to the topic of the discussion: unrealistic roleplay. How do you enforce unrealistic roleplay? Okay, so unrealistic roleplay. And at the end of this conversation, I'm gonna at the end of the we're gonna go for 2 hours. I'm gonna give everybody about 15 minutes to have a discussion about how do you enforce analytical roleplay. What rule do you make? I guess that's my question. What rule do you make to enforce analytical roleplay? Okay, you know what? I didn't want to do this right away, but I'm gonna. Okay. Uh, I've been working on something. Okay, I've been working on something, and this something was like a challenge for myself. I wanted to challenge myself to write a list of rules. Okay, so if I had my own roleplay server, what rules would I put into it? So that's the challenge I made for myself, and I didn't publish it anywhere. Okay, I didn't publish my attempt anywhere, but I guess I'm about to do it because I'm about to show you the document. So there you go. This is the document. Roleplay Union in-game rules. So again, we don't have a server at this moment, but if we do at some point, then this would be an example of what the rules are. So again, I know this looks very scary and complicated, but the idea is to make sure that you don't punish people until you can be sure that they're guilty. So, okay, imagine you're an admin and you want to ban somebody for hacking. Well, third-party software modifications, right? So you go down to... You could just Ctrl F and go hacking. There you go. That's simple. And here you go. Use of unfair third-party modifications. If you don't know what that is, you can read the description. An individual who, beyond a reasonable doubt, appears to be using a third-party software which gives them an unfair advantage is guilty of use of unfair third-party modifications. So hacking or whatever. So this is more descriptive. That's the idea. It's more descriptive to make sure that we don't apply these rules where they're not supposed to be applied, which commonly happens on roleplay servers these days. And if you look, if you're confused about certain terminology, like what is unfair advantage, you notice it's italicized. I italicized it and I put a description here. An unfair advantage includes any abilities which are not possible to an ordinary member without the use of exploits or third-party software. And if you don't know what an exploit or third-party software is for whatever reason, it's right there. A third-party software includes any software modification to the game, whether internal or external, which alters the behavior of the game. An exploit is any in-game act which produces an unexpected result. So the idea is you don't need to read all of this. The only reason you would read all of it is if you didn't know all of the terminology. Okay? So the idea is that it's descriptive, but it's not supposed to be complicated. It's supposed to be easy to recall punishments for certain things. So for example, every serious offense is a 90-day ban, and we actually adjust this a little bit. So that instead of just being a 90-day ban, if you had prior serious offenses within the last year, it'll multiply by the amount of the serious offenses that you had before. So if you had one other one, it won't increase. If you had two other ones, it will multiply by 2, and so on and so forth. Some offenses do allow you to, be guilty of 2 serious offenses at once. So for example, there's the thing on Lusanto's roleplay called disgusting roleplay. Every roleplay community, many roleplay communities have certain provisions for roleplay that's a little, sensitive. So what we have instead is controversial roleplay. Roleplay deemed too sensitive or controversial for common audience will be referred to as controversial roleplay. It'll include any roleplay that could be categorized as terrorism, hate crimes, sex offenses, and torture and mutilation. Now, before you say, oh, you can't do normal stuff now, you can't open strip clubs. No, you can open strip clubs. A strip club where strippers are there held consensually is not a sex offense. And if you want a private strip club with fucking whatever, then you just gotta get consent of all the members involved in the roleplay. That's the idea, to keep it out of the public. And we also have, it's the idea is that instead of operating on the broad common sense, which is different from an individual to an individual, we are operating on a description, a definitive description that cannot be disputed. Because you can argue against common sense. A person can argue against common sense. That's where you get disputes. That's where you get disagreements. But what happens when you have a set rule in place and people violate that rule? There's no argument. You've violated that rule. We can prove that you violated that rule. There's no argument there. Right now in the roleplay servers, there's a ton of arguments, a ton of drama. It's just not efficient. It's very stressful, I imagine, for both administrators and especially the players who don't know the goddamn rules that are actually being enforced, because that's the problem that I'm seeing. Administrators are not enforcing rules that are written down. They're enforcing rules that are kind of convenient for them. And I get it. I'm not blaming the administrators because that's the system. The system says use common sense. And common sense is different from person to person. And I feel like that's the root of the problem. So that's what I'm trying to do with this. I'm trying to make it so that we have more well-defined rules for everything. And this thing is 9 pages long. I wrote it all in one day, and we also have death matching here. So you're probably curious. I had a problem with the death matching rule on Los Santos roleplay, because let me just show you the death matching rule on Los Santos roleplay, just so you understand where I'm coming from. Okay, you guys gotta see this. Okay, I mean I've shown this to most of you millions of times before, but this is just hilarious because it's so vague, and whenever I try to tell them make it more descriptive, they're like, nope, no, give some examples. They're like, nope, nah, any kind of description is gonna ruin it. Any kind of description is gonna make it so that, oh, no, we can't have descriptions. Well, let's look at the description that they have now for the death matching rule, because it's goddamn hilarious. Okay, here we go. Killing another person without sufficient roleplay reason is not allowed. Everything else here is not really related to it. There's unnecessarily provoking that also falls under this rule. So if you unnecessarily provoke somebody, you could in theory get jailed for deathmatching, which is, confusing. Terrorism is strictly forbidden. I don't know why that's written here. I don't know. This seems like terrorism is not necessarily killing people. Okay, terrorism is just terrorizing populace, but whatever. And this has nothing to do with deathmatching. Unnecessarily provoking has something to do with deathmatching. The root of the thing is this: killing without sufficient roleplay reason is not allowed. They never explain what is a sufficient roleplay reason for killing is. It's common sense. Do you sense a pattern here? Do you see the problem that I have with the rules in the roleplay server right now? They are vague, they are up to interpretation, and because of that, people end up being punished when they couldn't have possibly known that what they did was against the rules. That's where you have discrepancies. Like, my character gets banned for saving a fucking life of another individual because, in the ghetto they don't care about it. That's the legit explanation of the admin that was there. That my character saved the life of another individual in a low-income neighborhood, and because of that, it just seems unrealistic, so that means that, it's unrealistic. It's too vague, in my opinion. It is too vague. It is too up to interpretation. It ends up with just so much frustration for the players that they can't play. They just can't play. They just can't create characters. Because a roleplay server demands a lot of investment. A roleplay server demands that you spend a lot of time building a reputation with your character, in character reputation, by the way, not out of character reputation, in character reputation, with other members. Like, a lot of people are gonna hate me because I'm role-playing a black female. A lot of people, I've had a situation on Red County Roleplay. It's so dumb. Michelle Jefferson was protesting, pro-gun rights. Some people were like, oh, it's just a liberal snowflake. She's protesting pro-gun rights. How does that make her a liberal? That's not a liberal viewpoint. That's a conservative viewpoint. Okay. So, I'm not going to delve too much into it, but I just want to read the response of Sun management admin. Okay, so this is a manager. Okay, I don't know if I should call him a manager. This is basically this is the top of the top. Okay, this is the highest ranked administrator in this community, and I'm gonna censor all of the names so that we don't. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of you know who it is, but I'm still gonna censor most of the names. Alright, here we go. So this is basically the response to my topic where I discussed, making the DM rule more expanded, more descriptive, so that there's less confusion. And again, this is my quote. I don't think that we need super specific rules, as that could become arbitrary and hurt freedom of roleplay. Yes, I agree with that. I still agree with that. We don't need super specific, but more specific than just sufficient roleplay. Okay, sufficient roleplay is so vague that it's harmful. But let's have a look at the example of your public defense would be acceptable in my eyes. During the middle of the day, you're hanging out with your friends in rodeo. A car pulls up. A man that looks like he doesn't belong. Look at that. Looks like that he doesn't belong. Are we judging people by appearance here? Is that what's going on? Are we judging people by appearance right now? I don't get it. Starts having a heated discussion because I judge people by what they choose to do, not by their appearance. Okay, whatever. Looks like he doesn't belong. I guess he means that somebody's loitering or something. Okay. Starts having a heated discussion with somebody that was hanging around. The man pulls out a knife, starts to attack the man. For all you could tell, the victim hasn't done anything to justify the attack taking place before your very eyes. See, this is the problem which I have. Nothing justifies murder. Okay? The only thing that, in my eyes, justifies violence is self-defense. Okay? If somebody's attacking you and you're acting in defense of life, that's self-defense. Okay? Okay, this is so annoying to me because I don't have the footage of the actual situation. I have the immediate aftermath of the situation that actually happened, and that situation was somebody was stabbing someone. I actually made like a small video talking about that situation. I don't know if many of you saw it. I think a lot of you saw it because it was. But basically, I wonder if it'll come up. No, it's not. Yeah, it's not gonna come up. I need to type user one. There we go. So this is the. I actually like made this video. When did I upload this video? I uploaded this video back in February. Yeah, this is the situation is kind of old by this point, but still, it's a repeated situation. It happens over and over. And as we talk to different people, as we discuss this, you realize that this is a problem that keeps coming back and keeps not being addressed. That's what I'm trying to do today. That's what I'm trying to do with the roleplay union. I'm trying to address that problem. So let me just briefly show my recreation of what happened. Basically, I was, this is, hold on. There we go. So let's watch this together. This is a reaction channel now. So yeah, my character was at the time selling a property from a bad neighborhood. She was moving from the bad neighborhood to a good neighborhood. And she had a firearm. It was unlicensed. She was appealing. She lost her license because she flew a helicopter under 300 feet. And that technically qualified as a felony, and felony disqualifies you from having a firearms license. She still carried a gun because she had to use a gun in multiple self-defense cases and to defend other people, because she believes that it's better to. There's a saying going. What was the saying? Better be judged by 12 than carried by 9. First, to better be judged by 12 jurors in the courtroom than carried by. Not 9, but 6 people, 6 people carry a casket. So it's better to go to jail than be dead, basically. That's what the saying goes. And that's what my character abided by. And, and then was actually using that as part of the justification to be like, let's read what his perception. Let's look at his perception of the situations. You were driving out East Los Santos, witnessed a player stabbing a player. This is not true. This is just blatantly not true. It shows how they were not listening to me. I was not just blatantly riding around East Los Santos. I was selling a fucking property. My character had a purpose to be there. Nobody looks at that. Nobody cares about that. They look at the thing, they think it's a rule breaking, and they issue a punishment. That's how it works right now. This stabbing took place in the gang neighborhood in a rough part of town. Seemingly 7th Street from your provided videos. Yep. You took it upon yourself to hop off your FCR and shoot a stranger, stabbing another stranger just because you witnessed it. Now see, it happened a big distance away from my character, okay? My character did have an FCR, which is a sports bike, close by, so I don't actually remember if I even hopped on it to drive to it. I think I definitely remember I shot from a very long distance. Like, that's what happened. I shot from a very long distance. But I don't see how. But I was just randomly driving around. I was selling a property there, and I saw somebody stabbing somebody else. And my character decided, okay, I'm gonna value a life. I'm gonna protect this person's life because I have protected multiple lives before from an attack. And that's just the way it is in Los Santos. There's a lot of fucking hostile attacks in this video game, and my characters are just responding to them, and they're treating them in character-wise. Because what else am I supposed to do? Anyway, you don't know either of the individuals. That's true. That doesn't change the fact that one person was stabbing another individual while that other individual was trying to run away, but that's true. You don't know anything about the situation. I know that there's one person stabbing another person, and that's enough for me. But anyway, other than the stabbing, yeah, okay, exactly. You addressed that, fair enough. You know zero context. Yes, that is true. I know zero context, except that one person is murdering another person. I don't need more justification than that to save that person from being murdered. That's my point. I don't need more context. A person is stabbing another person in public in America. What's gonna happen? What do you think is gonna happen? And according to records, you don't not have legal license to carry a firearm on your person. See, that's another thing that they dwell on. My character did not at the time have a firearm license. She had it before. She lost it because of that felony for flying a helicopter slightly lower than 800 feet. And then Anyway, my character, again, goes back to my character decides to carry a firearm for self-defense anyway. It doesn't mean that just because you don't have a license, you can't defend yourself. And funny fact is, okay, and I just wanna talk about this real quick. I've had situations where my character did use a firearm that was unlicensed in self-defense, and they would only get misdemeanor possession of a firearm. They wouldn't get any additional charges like brandishing a firearm, discharging a firearm in public, or murder, or anything like that. Why? Well, let me explain. If you look at, okay, let's look at LSRP's laws and acts. Okay, I just want to show this. Because a lot of people have this misconception that, oh, if you have an illegal firearm, you can't legally use it. Now, this is a little finicky, but you can actually use an illegal firearm to legally defend yourself. You can't legally be in possession of a firearm. That's a misdemeanor, but you can legally use it to defend yourself and another life. I mean, that being said, if a person is responsibly using a firearm to protect a life, what's wrong with that? I don't get that there's anything wrong with that. But anyway, let's have a look at the what's it called? San Andreas Penal Code. There it is. Okay, so this is from their website right now, from Los Santos Roleplay. This is their current. Hold on, there we go. This is their current. So let's look at Code 12, Private Defense, Self-Defense, Castle Doctrine. A person who has reasonable belief that they or another in imminent danger of being killed, seriously injured, or unlawfully touched, and believe that imminent force is needed to prevent that danger and use normal force necessary to negate that danger is absolved of criminal liability, Title I Criminal Crimes Against All Person. And I want to stop this moment to acknowledge that whenever I try to fix anything, whenever I try to change something, everybody always goes to argue that, oh, Userone, it's just a game. It's just a game. Whenever I try to make an argument, everybody's always like, it's just a game. But yet they spend the time and effort to put all these realistic codes in, and they don't, like, they do enforce them. They do enforce them. Credit where it's due. They do enforce these codes. But out of character-wise, it's a complete mess. Their in-character legal system is enforced way better than their out-of-character judgments. And that is the funniest bit about all of this. So, basically to rephrase what this says is that if you believe that someone is about to be seriously injured or seriously hurt, then you don't use any more force than necessary to prevent that from happening. aka if somebody is stabbing somebody in public and you shoot the stabber until they stop stabbing them, which is, by the way, yeah, it's also a real law here in Latvia as well as in the United States, pretty much everywhere in the United States, California, New York, Texas. I've checked like a lot of those states' laws, and it's the same way there. And even in Latvia, which is in Eastern Europe, so you can imagine our self-defense provisions are much more strict and less lenient than in America. and they tell me that what I did was unrealistic. Was I was just seeking reasons to DM. That just seems. See, the issue for me is that it kills any motivation for me to play, because I don't know if anything I do will end up with an admin jail. I can do just very small amount of things that I know I won't be punished for, and not anything else. In fact, there's not very many things that I know that I won't be punished for. And that's the issue. You'll be punished if it looks like what you're doing is against the rules, even if it isn't, even if it's coming from a person from another perspective. So again, let's go back to my rules. Let's go back to what I came up with, okay? Because that is the topic of the discussion. How did I write the death matching rule? Because what they have is just a very simple, sufficient rules. You need sufficient reason, and they don't clarify what sufficient reason is. Well, let's have a look at my death matching rule. So first of all, you might notice right away, I have actually separated death matching and unnecessarily provoking. So unnecessarily provoking, because when somebody's punished, I don't want them to be punished for death matching when they didn't actually hurt anybody, because that's kind of misleading for any admins viewing that record. I mean, the point of the record is so that you know what that person has done wrong. That's the whole point of the record. So it seems kind of silly to put things that aren't there. So if we look at the actual death matching excuse, or death matching rule, an individual who is proven beyond a reasonable doubt to have intentionally and knowingly in character roleplayed harming or killing another character. This includes harming, so like if you didn't kill them but you damaged them, that also counts. Without sufficient reason for violence, is guilty of 2 several mild offenses, unnecessarily provoking and death matching. So this counts as 2 offenses at the same time. So this is a mild offense, but it still counts as 2 offenses. So even if it's your first offense, instead of... So let me go back. So for mild offenses, for your first mild offense within a month, you get a formal warning. What is it? So mild offenses. For a first mild offense, when you haven't had any in the past 30 days, you'll get a formal warning. If you had one in the past 30 days, you get a 2-hour ban. Then that's a 24-hour ban, and then you get a 7-day ban, and then it just keeps going on a 7-day ban. And if you're a staff member, you get demoted. Now you might say, if a person was to come in and just DM every time they come on, then they'll just be banned for 7 days over and over. Well, if they just DM one person, yes, that's true. They'll be, but we can amend this again. We can amend this. We can introduce the thing that we have with serious sorts of offenses where, if you have had any with the past year, if you had any serious offenses within the past year, then, we times it by the amount of offenses. We can always amend things. We can always change the rules. And the point is that we don't punish people unless they break those rules. Okay, so if we go back to 90 days, 30 days, all that. If we go back to the definition, okay, if you go of the death matching, you might be scratching your head right now. It's in the unfair roleplay, by the way, and death matching, there it is. So you'll be like, Userone, hey, you just said, hey, you just complained that Los Santos roleplay put their death matching as just sufficient reason. Why aren't you doing anything different? You just put in violence there. No, you see, you notice how it's itemized? You notice that? That's because at the beginning of the section, there is a definition for everything itemized within that section. So this is the section. This is section. This is chapter 2, 7 mild offenses, part 4, unfair roleplay, and here you have a sufficient reason for violence. Okay, and this goes for both provoking and death matching. So you can't provoke unless you have sufficient reason to provoke. So we have defined it. We have given examples. Here's the definition. Necessity to act in self-defense. That's the first one, okay? Because the first one that comes to mind, it's the one that sparked the whole debacle. Either your own or of another character. Because it's silly to not be able to protect fucking human life, in my opinion. It's just dumb. It's dumb. It's a human right. It's something that everybody should be able to do. It's something that people should train to do. Because there's nothing wrong with protecting fucking human life. I don't know why this is a debate. Why are we debating on whether or not people should be able to? They are able to legally do this. And I don't know why characters aren't able to legally do it. That's silly to me. Anyway, so you can protect life, either your own or of another character, from whatever appears to be a deadly threat. You can also protect property from intentional theft or damage using violence. You can also use it as revenge for controversial roleplay, any kind. So if you've engaged with any kind of controversial roleplay, that includes terrorism, sex offenses, etc., etc., and you've been a victim of it, then you can make it as a revenge. Then you can also, again, we're not like, these aren't my morals in real life. Like if somebody does something controversial to me, I'm not gonna go murder them. No, this is for a roleplay server where all kinds of stuff happen, and we're setting boundaries, we're setting limits that are more descriptive than normal, than what is the current standard, because we believe that the current standard is not enough. It causes innocent players to suffer. It just kills the point of playing on the game, on the server, on the community, because there's just so much vagueness involved with rule enforcement. And with this, there'll be a lot less. I'm not saying an admin will never be able to punish you unfairly. I'm saying when they do, you'll be able to go to these rules, show the admin that they're wrong, and, get reinstated, get your shit back. Okay? Right now, the rules are so vague that admins can do whatever they want. And that's the problem. Anyway. And as well as an assassination agreement valued for no less than $5,000 for aforementioned reasons. So, not just any reason, but these reasons. So, if as a necessity for defensive lives. For example, okay, you found out that your friend is at the threat of being killed by a mob boss. So you can go hire an assassin to murder that mob boss. I think that's reasonable. For no less than $5,000, because I just feel like any less than that would be kind of unfair. And again, we don't have a server. But if I would have a server, I would try to focus more on the economy of it, so that $5,000 wasn't the cost of an out-of-character mask like it is in OSRP, okay? Anyway, or other reasons that would warrant a mentally sane individual to use given amount of force under given circumstances. Okay? Now this is the one that gets the most vague. So still, there is still a gray area, I acknowledge it. But at the very least we have some definition. So we have established that you need to have a mental state of mind. So we don't want, because again, the topic is the part of it, right? The part of the rules is unfair roleplay. So these are like the kind of roleplay situations deemed unfair to other players. Why do we have a deathmatch rule? Have you ever considered that fact? Have you ever questioned why do we have a deathmatch rule? I believe the deathmatch rule is there to make sure that people aren't just killing each other. Have you played DayZ? DayZ, whatever it's called. It's that game where you just spawn and get weapons, and then you can attract or kill other people. More often than not, you get shot on sight, and that's just not engaging. So to stop that from happening, we have a rule in place saying you can't kill them unless unless you're in a situation in which a mentally sane individual would kill that person. Okay, so you can't roleplay a mentally insane individual just killing everybody. And on the topic of deathmatch, okay, you might be asking, okay, so if the worst punishment for this is 7 days, what's stopping somebody from mass deathmatching? Well, we have a rule for that called disruption, okay, mass disruption, that's what we call it. An individual who's proven beyond a reasonable doubt to have intentionally or repeatedly behaved in a manner which is seriously disruptive to at least one another member is guilty of mass disruption. And you notice these codes, how they are titled. You have a number, point, number, and letter. So the first number is the section, chapter. I mean, so the first number is the chapter. There's only 2 chapters. Chapter 1 is serious offenses. Those are the 90-day bans times how many times you already had serious offenses in the past year. And the second chapter is mild offenses. Those are the ones that go formal warning, 2-hour ban, 24-hour ban, 7-day ban. So this one is considered a serious offense. So if you mass DM, you'll get banned for mass disruption. And you might be questioning, what's seriously disruptive? That's also vague. We've defined it. A seriously disruptive behavior is any behavior which forbids other members of the community from continuing to stay in character and forces them out of character, with the exception of staff member conducting an investigation. Okay? So we have been more descriptive. We have not made it our goal to restrict admins from being able to ban whoever they want. They can still, who they feel like is against the rules. They can still do that. If they think that somebody is against the rules, is acting against the rules, they can issue a punishment. They have to, within 48 hours, post evidence, okay? Or they will themselves be guilty of an offense. It's actually in the rules section. Yeah, imagine that. Rules sections that actually... Hold on. Sorry about that. Rules sections that actually apply against staff and members of the community. Isn't that good? So that the community can also hold staff accountable for when they don't act within their duties, within what they're supposed to do, and they maybe overstep their boundaries. So it's in the mild offenses. If you look in the mild offenses, it's part 2, staff-related mild offenses, which is very convenient because in chapter 1 we also have staff-related serious offenses, and that's also part 2, so that's very easy to keep track of. When the second number is 2, it's staff-related. So these are like serious staff offenses, but we're talking about the mild offenses when an admin maybe forgets to put in evidence. So this doesn't mean that we're gonna immediately ban an admin. Okay, it's considered a staff-related civil mild offense. So, for example, if you're inactive, we're asking for minimum 5 hours per week on staff duty without a reasonable excuse. Without a reasonable excuse, by the way. So if you have a reasonable excuse, you'll be excused. Unattendance to summons, that's our different system that I'll talk about some other time. And there we go. Punishment without sufficient evidence. See, I've never seen an admin on any community ever get punished for punishing someone without sufficient evidence. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Never. So, I'm experimenting. This is an experiment. What if we do that? Staff members that fail to either submit sufficient evidence of the offense which they punished a player for within 48 hours from issuing a formal punishment or otherwise revoke the punishment from the player is guilty, okay, of this offense. And you might be wondering, okay, what's a formal punishment? A formal punishment is anything from a formal warning. So an informal warning... So a formal warning is a clear warning, ordered, blah, blah, blah. All of that is defined. That's the idea. Everything is defined. So here's the topic for discussion today. We finally got to it after 37 minutes of me rambling. This is the topic of discussion. Unrealistic roleplay. How do you define it? Because you may notice that I haven't. There's not a single mention of unrealistic in... Okay, well, there's power gaming unrealistic abilities. That's that. So if you act out things that are literally impossible, we have two sets. We have two different kinds of power gaming. We have power gaming against another member and power gaming unrealistic abilities or non-existing items. But we don't have any mentions of unrealistic. Well, we also have one more mention of the word unrealistic, and that's in green zones. A green zone is an area in which, due to in-character expected presence of high traffic of people, it is unfair for crime to start. So again, crime can't start there. It's very similar to the way it was in LSRP, but not exactly the same because we have different kind of areas. So the spawn area for new players, government buildings with exception to banks during staff-approved bank robberies, and 4-lane highways. Why 4-lane highways? Because, well, think about it. Imagine you're driving down a 4-lane highway. So it's an interstate that is busy enough to want a 4-lane highway. That takes a lot of money to build. So that's gonna have traffic going there. Every once in a while, it's gonna have traffic going there. So imagine you're robbing somebody on the side of the road. People are gonna be driving past you, either your way or the other way. There's gonna be people. It's unrealistic to start a crime there, in my opinion. But okay, that's all up to debate. That's all semantics. That's fine. We can remove that later if people disagree with me. Whatever. The topic of discussion today is the fact that I haven't put any provision that says you're not allowed to roleplay unrealistically. You can't roleplay unfairly. You can't do non-roleplay actions. I guess that would be the most similar. But this just contains metagaming, power gaming, failure to value character life. So that's fear roleplay. Violation of character death terms of new life rule. So character death would be like, I have two kinds of character death. Permanent character death, you know it better as CK, and temporary character death, you know it better as PK. It's basically the same thing, and the idea is the same. But I don't have any provision saying that you can't roleplay unrealistically. Now, here's the funny part. Neither does LSRP. LSRP does not have provisions, to the best of my understanding, that specifically say that you're not allowed to roleplay unrealistically. That's something that admins came up with. So okay, let's look at this. Okay, so this is the LSRP rules, and if you look at the common courtesy, be kind to others, think before you type. Well, I mean, yeah, that's questionable because some admins don't really do that. There's no need to be hurtful or abusive, especially towards staff members. That's fair enough. Yeah, that's great. We also have similar. We also have actually similar stuff. Let me show you guys. It's with the very first thing. It's in the serious offenses. Okay, that's more of actually never mind. That's community rules. Those rules are already people already know the community rules. They have already been published. Because community rules, this is a these rules are subsection to community rules, obviously. So here we go. Again, we have things like no harassment or bullying, and this itself has its own detailed document. This is just a summary, and again, I can make a summary for the other document, for this document as well. The idea is that it's more descriptive, and it causes, because it's more descriptive, it causes less arguments. There's less debate. There's less drama. There's less time wasted arguing over every single case, because you can just look. The gray area is much smaller. Does it meet the burden of proof? If it doesn't, it's not an offense. Yes, this does mean that a lot of people who have ill intentions will be able to stay on the server. The thing is, we're not going to be punishing innocent players. That's what we're focused on. We're not punishing innocent players. Those people with ill intent are always going to be there, even if you keep banning them. Because they can just ban evade. So it's silly to expect them to not be able to go on the server in the first place. Anyway, if you look at LSRP, we're talking about whether or not LSRP has any provisions for unrealistic roleplay. And let's have a look. So I'm on the in-game rules page. Let's have a look for unrealistic. So this is the only mention of the word unrealistic in the entire rules section. You can see in the top right corner, the only mention of the word unrealistic. Think back to how many times people have been banned for unrealistic roleplay, when it's not even against the rules, technically. And again, common sense is no longer, even a thing. It's, this is where they put roleplay at all times. Okay, you have to, you're not allowed to break some rules because you think someone else did, blah blah blah. Yeah, all that. It's all great and all, but nowhere does it mention actual unrealistic roleplay. Nowhere does it define unrealistic roleplay. The only time they mention it is with unrealistic equipment, such as expensive assault rifles or sports cars. This is the only thing they have defined, okay? And this is an arbitrary thing in itself. Because, for example, with assault rifles, you can't rob people with assault rifles, because AKA that's unrealistic, okay? The thing is, many players don't have a choice. Sometimes, a black market doesn't work like a traditional market. You don't walk into a black market and okay, we got all these selections, we got all that. No, a black market is you meet a shady guy in a fucking alleyway and he's like, yo, you want to buy an AK? And you don't even know if he's going to fucking scam you. So they don't have a choice. So imagine somebody's trying to start an illegal organization and maybe they didn't spot the tiny ass specific arbitrary rule that says you cannot use expensive assault rifles, which is, by the way, vague in itself. All of these rules are vague, and that's my problem. Imagine they didn't spot that and they used their only weapon to rob somebody in a dark alleyway, but that person turned out to be an admin, and the admin went, oh, you know what? Unrealistic. Bam! Unrealistic equipment. That's not what they're gonna put there. They're gonna put unrealistic robbery, but whatever. That's the point. How do you define unrealistic roleplay? Because LSRP didn't define unrealistic roleplay, even though they enforce rules against unrealistic roleplay all the time. We weren't able to define unrealistic roleplay, even though we mentioned the word unrealistic 3 more times than Los Santos Roleplay does in the rules section. How do you define it? So that's the topic of the discussion. We're gonna head over, finally, after 45 minutes, to the interview room, and we're gonna open it up to the verified channels. There we go. This is gonna go fantastic. All right, let's see. So if you don't know, to be able to join the interview room, it's actually quite self-explanatory. You need to be verified. Just go down to oh wow, we have a censorship fairy there. We just go down to the interview room, and yeah, I should, you know what I should do? I should make like a line. Yeah. Oh my god, I just came up with a genius idea. Oh my god, I just came up with a genius idea. I'm sorry, guys. We're gonna have to delay it for a little more. I just came up with just a fantastic idea, because I just realized I can just drag people. I can just drag people in. Okay, hold on. I'm actually gonna show what I'm doing. So, yeah, I'll just show what I'm doing, whatever. So, here's what I'm doing. Basically, right, you take voice channels, right? I add a voice channel. It's only gonna be available to verified, okay? It's only available to verified. And this channel is it's gonna be waiting for interview. There you go. Do I need spaces there? No, for interview. There we go. Waiting for interview. Boom. Oh wow, they're all jumping in. Alright, who do we have first? Oh, that's a lot of people. They jumped in immediately. Okay, let's so I don't even know which one jumped in first. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna limit the channel to just one person. Just one user. Okay, so we're gonna okay, well I'm not gonna kick these guys out, because that feels a little unfair. So we'll start with Quincy. Quincy seems like an interesting individual. Let's get this guys in. Hello, welcome Quincy.
Hey,
How are you doing?
I'm fine. What's up?
So, imagine you're making a rules section. What do you like? Rules are, how do you feel? Should rules in a roleplay server be descriptive or not descriptive? What do you think? They would be more vague or descriptive?
Yeah, it should be descriptive
Why?
because people will just get confused over it and they would like break the rules
Yeah.
if they don't know what the rules are
Yeah.
exactly.
And admins will also get confused, and they will issue punishments which are not exactly proper. But this is where I have a question. How do you define unrealistic roleplay in the rules section? How do you be descriptive about that? Because this is what we're battling right now. This is what we want to address. We want to address unrealistic roleplay. How do you define it?
Well, it's basically just like you're acting in real life, but it depends on everyone that defines it.
Yeah, it's
Not
different from person
depending
to
on
person, is what you're saying.
yeah.
Do you realize that Los Angeles Roleplay is putting a heavy emphasis on enforcing unrealistic roleplay when they haven't defined it themselves, and every single administrator, do you think they're gonna enforce them equally or differently?
Yeah, I heard that there is a lot of corruption on
I'm not even talking about
IRCP
corruption.
admin
No,
stuff.
I'm not even talking about intentional. We're not talking about intentional misuse. We're
Oh,
talking about just inherently like interpreting. Have you played the game called Broken Phone? You know, when you whisper something quickly to somebody else once, they have to whisper it to the next
yeah,
person, and then the last person says what it was. It's basically the same thing. People see the same vague definition going, and the same admins going enforce enforce rules against unrealistic roleplay when they haven't defined what it was in the first place, when it's not even written down that it's against the rules. So it's like all of them. Do you think they're gonna act similarly, or they're gonna act differently with their own boundaries? Oh, I think he left. Okay, well, I guess I gotta let the interviewee speak more. Maybe he just disconnected. That's also possible. We've had some internet issues recently. Let's. Well, Hong Kong Warrior was here first, so I think let's get him in. And again, we limited the waiting in the interview room for just one person. There we go. Okay, this is the individual. All right, there we go. Hello, welcome.
Hello, you probably don't want to hear my voice at the moment, but don't ban me yet, brother.
All right,
In your
listen.
last in
Before,
your last stream, you mentioned why people hate you. Would you like me to tell you why people hate you?
I mean, I have a good idea why people hate me. I'm cringy. I'm not very
Uh,
likable, and genuinely, I don't very appear very nice. I don't come off very nice most of the time. I have a bit of acne. My teeth are yellow. I
I
think two
don't
years
care about
ago.
how you look,
No, no, no.
man.
Also, the things I've done. In 2016, I've promoted this kind of roleplay. I didn't really think about the reputation. I didn't really think the way I was perceived in public. So I was just doing things thinking that rules were enforced by the rules. And I think at the time that was actually the case, but something changed along the way that changed the way that they acted to ensure these high standards, in the
Mm,
turn damaging, in my opinion, damaging the
mm.
people. But what do you
Would
think?
you like to hear my? Yeah,
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
personally, it really has to do with your genes. White power, 48 nigger.
Well, uh, I should have known when he confessed that that was his voice. You never know with these people. I guess the point that he's trying to prove that people don't change. That's the thing that he's trying to convince me. No, I don't believe that. I believe people do change. I've seen it myself. I've experienced it myself. People do change. So it's silly to say otherwise. Yeah. Anyway, give me a moment. I just need to make sure that. Let's get somebody else in here. All right, we got one more person in. Let's get him in. Uh, all right. Hey.
Hello, Userone. Long time no see. So, I don't actually want to talk. I just want to say sorry for calling you a retard. You know?
Oh,
It
well,
was quite
you.
uncalled for.
Well, I appreciate you coming in and saying that. I
Yeah.
do apologize as well. I want to apologize because I suggested that you licked somebody's butt to get to where you were. I,
Uh,
I made a
no.
mistake of drinking alcohol during the interview, which is
Well, that
honestly.
probably just makes it more bearable, doesn't it?
Oh, it does make it more bearable, but it
Yeah,
doesn't do well
exactly.
for the, for the community that I'm trying to build.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to call you a retard. I got in trouble for that, you know.
Oh.
It was quite uncalled for, to be fair. So, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, good luck with your stream. Goodbye.
Yeah. I wonder if he did that because he got in trouble or because he actually cared. All right, let's. All right, this guy is back here, and he changed his name. It's cool that he changed his name. It's the same guy. It's literally the same guy. He's trying to pass off as somebody else. Oh, now he changed his name again. Oh well, it's good that we don't no longer are looking at the names without actually verifying them. Anyway, I'm just gonna go ahead and do what needs to be done. All right, let's get somebody else in here. I'm a little skeptical about this guy's name, but see, that's the thing about this idea is I don't judge by what I personally like or dislike. I judge by rules, so I enforce rules. That's what I'm acting on. Hello, welcome.
White power, 48 nigger.
It's easier to get them out of here at least now. They can't join back immediately. They always try though. They always try. All right. Well, don't worry about that. We'll get somebody else in here. Let's see if maybe somebody wants to talk. All right. Here, interview room is open for discussions. All right. So we have still some time, and what's very interesting is that, for me at least, a lot of people actually join and they have legitimate stories to share, and they join more frequently than you would expect. I would expect pretty much 9 people to be trolling to one person being this. But so far, we only had one person trolling under different accounts uh, because that's apparently funny. But yeah, anyway, let's see if we can get somebody. Oh, we got somebody. Okay, somebody's waiting for an interview. Let's get the different name. Oh, you know what I should do? I know this is a good idea, but why can I not? Okay, whatever. All right, whatever. Let's listen. Hello, Welcome. Hello? Well, I guess we'll talk to them some other time. Okay, let's get the other person in here. I have a feeling it's the same person. Yep, probably the same person. It's fine, they won't make it into highlights. That's the idea. Hello? Oh. Finger slipped. I didn't ban him, I disconnected him. I'm sorry.
Fucking what? Oh, hello.
Hello?
Oh, hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Okay, so I'd like to ask you a few questions. Would you, how was what was your experience on roleplay in general? Like,
Pretty good, bro. Like, I got like what 4 years?
4 years experience? What was your first community?
It was a fucking light RP server, SARP.
Okay, let's try to, I know I swore earlier in the stream. Let's try to limit swearing. I appreciate you coming here. So light roleplay server, wait, hold on. Why, how are you able to join? Was your light roleplay server accepting applications?
Nah, it was a fucking. Oh, I mean, wait. I know.
It's okay, it's okay.
It was like it was like a basically. It's like one of those communities where you can just DM and get away with it. So basically, my first. No,
but
experience there-
my
it was
question
like-
my question
no.
is how were you able to get verified if you did not come from a hardcore community?
Oh no, I am in a hardcore community. I'm in RCRP, but my first experience was SARP.
Oh,
Uh,
SAFP. I've checked it out once. This is a funny story because I actually like I roleplayed a little bit. I did a couple of me's. I developed my character, and I get PMs saying, "Oh my god, this is the best roleplay I've had in years." It's so dumb because I went to Ganton. The police are like hanging out with the ghettos and like and all the people like in the neighborhood. It's weird. That's not realistic at all. And I get where servers wanna enforce realistic standards. So that's what I want to talk about today. How do you do that? How do you define How do you define a realistic roleplay?
You just think about it. If could you do this in real life? Could you not? You know.
That being
Then-
said, that's not how LSRP admins are defining it. So, for example, they're saying you can't use a sports car, you can't use an assault rifle to rob people. That's their definition so far.
I think people do that in real life, fucking using assault rifle to fucking rob people. But like, they do that in what's it called? For example, if it's if it's like someone who has, it's like a gangster, right? He's been in the hood for ages. He's developed his character fully to the point where he has some money, but he wants to make more, and then he invests the money in a sports car, in like an assault rifle, and then he can rob a person with that to make more money. It's like flipping.
It's a topic of the discussion because it doesn't happen often in their life that people with sports cars do rob people. Assault rifles are not very commonly used. Most common weapons used are handguns because they're easy to hide. But
Actually, I saw someone rob someone once in a thingy on SRP with an assault rifle.
Mhm.
It was some faction called Belgorodskaya OPG.
What?
It was a faction called Belgorodskaya OPG.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like a Russian faction or something.
Okay.
I remember when they used to do hits like rob people with assault rifles and so.
How long ago? How long was that?
Not that long ago, to be honest.
That's
I think-
weird.
Yeah.
Because
I think
I've seen people get banned. My friends and other people, they got banned for just for having unrealistic characters when the rules don't even mention that. They don't define it more than you can't use a sports car or assault rifle. And again, you defined it as things that cannot be done in real life. Isn't that just power gaming?
Well,
That's how I defined it.
if you
Like
think about it, it kind of is.
I'll give you access to the interview room so that I can post. You saw that I wrote my own interpretation of rules, right?
Yeah, I see that.
Okay, I'm gonna post my interpretation of the relevant power gaming thing, so that you can have a look of my interpretation of power gaming, and I'm pretty sure it just fits what you've described. So if you look at power gaming, I can just Control F and very easily find it.
Wait, where is it?
I gave you access to interview room,
Yeah,
And
I
I
see.
just now posted. There you go.
Oh, okay, an individual who's proven beyond a reasonable doubt that they have to have intentionally in character roleplay acts which are not possible to perform from their characters under their given circumstances, or claims to be in the possession of an item which they do not have in possession. Yeah, I see. That is kind of fucking bullshit if you think about it.
What do you mean?
I mean, like, for example, the base. Well, you know the assault rifle robbing.
Yeah.
Do you think that falls under power gaming?
I don't think it falls under power gaming at all. No, I don't say it is. But just the way you described unrealistic roleplay, that falls into power gaming, in my
Yeah.
opinion. That's just power gaming. So the question here is, how do we describe unrealistic roleplay?
Oh, honestly, I don't know about unrealistic roleplay. For example, Slash Me flies and then he just fucking jumps off the building.
Again, that's power gaming. You're doing acts that you are incapable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think LSRP is trying to tackle acts that are not likely to happen very often, but they still
Yeah.
happen, and that's my problem. They still
For-
happen. Sure, they don't happen very often, but
But
I mean,
what's your opinion on Belgorodskaya OPG using AKs to rob people and stuff? In their fucking sports car. What's your opinion on that?
I don't have an opinion on that. They do what they. I don't have the full context to that. I don't know what that is. I mean, good for them, I guess. I'm more concerned about making sure that fucking I don't get banned when I do something that's totally realistic, but an admin thinks it's unrealistic, so I get banned for it. That's my problem.
Yeah, I see.
Because have you been punished on Red County Roleplay, for example?
Red County roleplay? Well, I don't think I've recently been punished for. I mean, yeah, I've been punished multiple times, but not for like fucking power gaming or whatever.
Okay. And do you think you're guilty of the things that you've been punished for?
Well, I'd like to I'd like to discuss a couple of things.
Okay, I'll
A
give
couple of
you.
punishments.
Okay, we got
but-
like. Okay, sure. Let's. How about? Can you send any evidence of the ones that are the most questionable one? I want to look at the most questionable one and the one that you have the most evidence for, because these are always the ones to.
Honestly, I don't feel comfortable discussing this stuff because it's in the past. I couldn't care less because I've done my time. It's like all in the past and all that stuff. So I couldn't give a fuck, honestly, about those punishments anymore.
Yeah,
They might still be there. It might taint my my thingy,
Yeah, the
my
problem.
admin record.
Yeah, the problem is that they do taint admin records. My admin record has been tainted severely by admins punishing me for these arbitrary rules. And they used to revoke these punishments when they were arbitrary. They stopped doing that. They stopped caring about that. So something's changing in LSRP, and that's concerning me. And I'm not expecting LSRP to change. I'm beyond that point. I'm trying to build my own community. I'm trying to see if I can make it better. If I can make it so that we don't punish people unless we are certain that they are broken any rules. That's the thing that I want to.
So they're innocent until proven guilty, right?
Innocent until proven guilty. That's the idea of this community.
Mm-hmm. So, for example, if I mass DM and say, "Oh no, it wasn't misclick,"
No, that's not gonna work, because if you mass DM, there's a lot of actions that you do that indicate that you have mass DM'd. And if you lie and say, "Oh, I misclicked," then it's gonna look obvious that it's a lie, and we're gonna go, "Okay, that's." I talked about this rule. I made a rule called mass disruption, and it's a serious offense which, if you get proven guilty of serious offense, that's 90 days times serious offenses you got in the past year.
mm-hmm.
Okay. Unless it's your first one, obviously, because obviously 90 times 0 is 0. But yeah, if it's not your first one, then it's times the offenses.
Yeah.
So if you had one more, it's times 1, so it doesn't change. If you had 2 other ones in the year, then you have it doubled, basically.
So you basically believe in second chances?
I believe every offense, because we gotta realize that no system that we create, no governing system we create is perfect. There's always going to be false positives. There's always going to be innocent people getting unbanned. So, for example, in your example, you said you mass DM. Can you be more specific? How did you mass DM? Because no situation is that simple. No. You provide an example saying, "Oh, if I mass DM and say, oh, it was a misclick," it's
For example, you know how if like let's just imagine Belgorodskaya OPG being in like your server, right?
Mhm.
So like one guy,
This
one
is
guy.
this is the mass
Yeah,
disruption.
yeah. So like one guy, they snitch, right?
Okay.
You want to get him, so you
Okay.
kill him, right? And then there's like, let's just say there's a lot of witnesses, so you kill him too. But like you don't want to like you did it because you don't want to get a witness. Would that be seen as mass DM? If Belgorodskaya OPG just AK'd everyone down.
You've made an
Because-
interesting point, because many servers have provisions saying, you can't kill people who are just witnesses. The thing is, if first of all, where did this happen? In the public, in the middle of the
Yeah,
public,
like let's just say like they want to do a quick hit, like just gun them down.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, all these civilians come in like, oh my god, they just killed someone. Belgorodskaya OPG.
so they just
killed
start
someone.
gunning down everybody. Well,
Yeah. Just
okay.
yeah.
Well, let's see. Does it meet the burden of proof of mass disruption? I just sent you the definition of mass disruption.
Mhm.
Does it meet the burden of proof? Do you think? Like, imagine you're an admin and you have to determine if it meets the burden of proof.
Well, to be honest,
Hold on, my bad. I forgot to send you the description of what's a seriously disruptive behavior, because we also have that
Yeah.
in the thing as well. I'll send that to you as well.
yeah. Wait,
There you go.
I also have a second example, right?
Let's finish with this first.
All right.
Does this meet the burden of proof for mass disruption? Your situation. So they saw they killed someone, they killed one person, then they moved on to kill a bunch of other people because they
Yeah.
were witnesses.
Kind of does if you think about it. If you look at it from an outsider perspective, like for example, you got DM'd, then you'd be like, yeah, this is mass disruption. But if you were the one shooting, you'd be like, no, look, I don't want to get called today. I got kids, family, blah blah blah. Like that.
So
Like,
what
it's
you're
kinda like
saying?
that.
So you're saying it doesn't meet a burden of proof?
Well, it does.
It does. So in your case, you will be punished for mass disruption.
Yeah.
It's plain and simple.
Yeah.
Also another thing. Hold on, before we move on, just one more thing. I want to show you the Did I show you the deathmatching rule yet? No, I'll show you the power gaming
no.
rule. I'll show you the deathmatching rule that I wrote.
Alright.
So deathmatching. There we go. Okay, so this is the deathmatching, and this is the definition for reason for violence, which is a thing that's inside
Mm-hmm.
sufficient reason for violence. Because
Yeah.
there you go. So that's it. So if you look at the sufficient reason for violence, in this case, this is necessity to act in defense of life, either your own or of another character, caused by what reasonably appears to be a deadly threat, necessity to protect property from intentional theft or damage, as revenge for controversial roleplay, as an assassination agreement valued no less than 5,000 for the aforementioned reasons, or other reason that would warrant a mentally sane individual to use given amount of violence under given circumstances. So this is a bit of a gray area. So
Yeah.
the deathmatching says basically you can't kill or harm without sufficient reason for violence. In your example, you show up. Okay, the defendant or the perpetrator shows up, assassinates somebody. Okay,
Mhm.
why is he assassinating them?
Because he snitched and got
Okay.
one of their buds arrested.
Okay, so I'd say that's that fits as
Yeah, one of their friends just got a fucking life sentence because
Yeah.
the person who snitched, he obviously has to pay because he's responsible for it.
yeah.
Without that snitch, it wouldn't have never happened. He would have still been.
Well,
he would
if,
still been a free man.
yeah, if you're a criminal mob boss and
Mhm.
somebody snitches on your friend, then I think a mentally sane individual in those shoes would probably go out
Yeah.
of the way to kill that person. Would they
Yeah.
kill all of the witnesses in the public, where there's probably gonna be even more witnesses of their massacre filming them? That doesn't seem like a mentally sane thing to do. See, we've established the description: mentally sane, right? It's a rational killing that has a justification. Massacring witnesses doesn't in public where there's gonna just be more witnesses. It's just not a rational thing to do. So in this case, what I think would happen is you would get a death matching per the killing. I think, because
Mhm.
you're killing multiple people, so it's against individual one of them.
Yeah.
So and each death matching counts as two serious offenses because because it's what is it? It's what is it? What is it? Where's death matching? That is, it's unnecessarily provoking and death matching. So you get two serious mild offenses and two mild offenses. Basically you'll end up with a 7-day ban from this in this system.
Mhm.
Okay. Uh, or if we can prove, you said it means burden of proof of a serious offense, so it could also be, taken to 90 days. So there you go. So again, the system is a little different from what we're used to, but the idea is to be more descriptive. Do you think that this has a point?
I mean, yeah.
You think
Yeah, I
that,
do.
You do? You genuinely think that this could work?
The system, how you have it right now, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you feel that way, because so far we've been hearing, no, this can't work. Well, I mean, we've had mixed opinions. We actually had a lot of people support
Mhm.
us. But
I
yeah.
actually have a situation that is similar to Mazdium, and it actually happened.
Okay, do you have evidence that it happened?
Well, yes, I do.
Okay, post the evidence in the interview room so that I can have a look at it and show it to the
So
stream.
basically, all right. So basically, this is a picture of them. So look, this is just a picture of what happened, right?
Right, so I just see
yeah.
3 people get killed.
No,
Okay.
no. Let me just tell the story of what happened, and then you'll be the judge.
Is it a long
So-
story? Because I want to get more people in.
Nah, it's like a very quick
Okay, okay.
story. So look, do you know Lazio Lowriders from RCRP?
No, it's a motorcycle gang. I get it.
No, Nazi Lowriders. It's not a motorcycle gang.
Oh.
They're like
Oh. Okay, please don't say that. Like, we're on YouTube right now.
Oh, you don't want me to say the N word, like, yeah. But they're
You
like,
know what? I'm gonna get more people in. Thank you for coming. You already had your
Bro,
15 minutes.
wait.
You have a good day. Alright. Let's get more people in here. And wood. Yep. And wood. Alright. I gotta get like some kind of guidelines in for names that aren't controversial, because this is just, I don't want to get this guy in. Let's get them in. Alright, let's see what he has to say. Maybe I'm judging by appearance too much. Let's have a look. Hold on, before I do it. How are they hiding their goddamn tags? I don't get it. Hello. Hello?
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
You have quite the name.
Yeah.
Oh, you changed your name. Okay, thank God.
No, I didn't wanna white power 1488.
Almost got the other wood in. Hi, welcome.
hello.
I wonder who keeps sending those guys. It's always organized. Hello, welcome. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you for asking.
Alright, so, have you seen my general idea of what I believe to be, like, more descriptive roles, More...
No.
So, basically...
Well, I just came on your stream, I don't know what we were even talking about.
Okay, so basically, do you know what the Roleplay Union is about?
Yeah, I was here last time.
Okay. Basically, right now we're discussing how do you define unrealistic roleplay in the rules section.
Okay.
How would you define it? Because LSRP has not defined it, but they're enforcing it. So, how would you define it?
How will I define unrealistic role?
Yeah, in the rules section. So, this is not allowed. Unrealistic roleplay. Define it. What does it mean to unrealistically roleplay?
Alright, so my personal opinion is that if you're like, let's say you're starting out in a gang, on LSRP for example, and you start off by being that tough guy that beats everyone in school and grabs their lunch money, that's unrealistic for me, because he will be incurably scared of the people around him.
Yeah, so you're saying if somebody just joins a gang and all of a sudden he's the toughest guy of them all,
Yeah.
But at the same time, maybe they're young. They're supposed to be younger than other people. They're supposed to be less experienced than other people. That does seem as unrealistic.
It
But
is unrealistic though.
okay. But I mean, it is possible for tough guys to every once in a while come into a gang and be a great asset, right? So
Sorry, what did you say?
it is sometimes possible for tough guys to actually do join illegal organizations, though.
Yes, but it has to be very strict if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's the point. That's what we're discussing today.
Yeah.
To make something strict, you have to define it. So that's what I'm asking you. Can you even define unrealistic roleplay?
No, I actually cannot.
Do you think anybody can define unrealistic roleplay?
Well, I can't speak for other people, but I'd say probably yes, perhaps.
Maybe somebody out there can. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
How do you enforce like imagine you're an admin and you are sick of unrealistic roleplay. How do you make sure that the roleplay that they're doing is actually unrealistic? Do you just go off of your own perception of like this from this from an outsider's view into somebody else's actions? Do you judge people by that?
No.
So how do you judge people then if you're an admin and you want to enforce unrealistic roleplay against the rules?
Well, if I was an admin, I wouldn't be too worried about unrealistic roleplay because there's a lot more things to focus on. But if we're talking about unrealistic roleplay in this situation, I would honestly just spectate people, see how they do. You know, if someone is acting out of the ordinary, like, hey yo, bro, give me your lunch money or I'ma beat your mother, this type of stuff, then I'm just gonna note them down and tomorrow I'm gonna spectate them again and again until I see how they develop their character.
So you're suggesting instead of like having a look at somebody and seeing that they're acting unrealistically and immediately banning them, you note down like a lot of different like combos. You note down a little kind of evidence for yourself.
Well, I can't just teleport to someone that literally beat someone up for no reason and tell them, okay, this is unrealistic portrayal of your character, you're being promoted.
This is what happens on LSRP though. You do realize that.
I don't play on RSRP, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Which show do you play on?
I play on RCRP mode.
Has that ever happened on the county roleplay? I've heard they had more descriptive rules.
No.
This has never happened to you on the county roleplay. Well, I'm glad to hear that. The county roleplay is actually doing pretty well on enforcing these rules, but they also have some flaws every once in a while. I mean, we've had Tommy B himself on this interview, and he himself explained that he even himself suffered some bias from admins. What I'm trying to do is make a community based around the idea that you don't punish unless you can prove that somebody did something wrong. What do you think about that?
Sorry for that. Could you repeat the last thing you said?
So, if this community is based around the idea that we don't punish unless we can prove guilt, what do you think about that concept? Do you think it could work?
Yeah, I actually think it could work.
Why hasn't the server done it so far? That's a question that I'm also wondering myself.
No idea. You should ask Tommy B.
That's a good idea. Yeah, next time I have a staff member from LSRP or Red County Roleplay or other roleplay servers, I'll ask them why haven't they implemented it yet. Maybe the issue hasn't come up. That's also a possibility.
I can recommend you an admin, Glorified. He's an admin on RCRP. Pretty good admin by what I've seen.
Okay. Alright, so have you seen the rules on this specific Discord?
No.
Why haven't you seen the rules on this specific Discord when you were part of the Discord?
I don't know, I just don't have time.
Okay.
I'm trying to focus more
That's
on school.
that's also another thing that we gotta keep in mind. Pretty much if we don't force people to look at the rules, they're not gonna look at the rules, but
True.
yeah.
Where can I see the rules?
At the very top of the Discord.
Oh, I see, with the 3 exclamation marks.
Yes, the 3 exclamation marks. Does that make it harder to see?
Yeah.
Oh my god, seriously?
It's kind of obnoxious.
Okay. I appreciate the honest answer. I'm just afraid that if I change it, it'll break a lot of things. I don't know. I'll have to.
One more thing I'd like to say about RCRP.
Yeah.
Recently there was a mass DM scene by Belgorodskaya Brigada, and I hope that you know them in RCRP.
Let's just not mention any faction names or anything like that. Let's just say like the
Okay,
situation.
a faction, okay?
Yeah. Illegal
There
faction.
was a illegal faction. There was an illegal faction that caused a mass DM scene. Okay.
Mhm.
What do you think about that? Factions making mass DM. Like
Well, okay,
they're
that's
trusted by faction management. You know, they're trusted,
uh.
but they still break.
Well, okay. Anybody literally is capable of breaking rules. The top we've had. I'm not can't talk about it, but there has been a case. I don't know if you know about it of a
Mm-hmm.
owner of a community doing something fucking vile and disgusting. I'm sorry for swearing again, but I literally couldn't hold it back. Uh, Grooming a child over the internet. I can't say which
Mm-hmm.
community, I can't say who, but do you know about that?
No, no.
Just take my word for it. That's the thing, and it just goes to show everybody is. Sorry, that's not you. There was a notification for WhatsApp. That was me. Everybody is capable of breaking rules. Everybody is capable of mistreating the community. You don't know how a person is gonna act until you actually start enforcing the rules. That's why, in my opinion, we should enforce rules against admins just as much as against players. In my opinion, but factions should have regulations, and in my opinion, they should be judged not by their reputation, which is extremely arbitrary and often misleading, but by the things that they are actually guilty of, the things that their achievements, the things that they have chosen to do. That's what you should judge people by, at least in my opinion, not by how they look or how they sound or other nonsense, which doesn't affect anything. It's just such a backwards way of thinking, in my opinion. Just like judging by appearance is a third grade way of thinking. And it's something that I think these communities should learn to look past at this point. And to actually delve in and try to get the truth, rather than focus on reputation.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, so can you be more descriptive about your situation? You mentioned there was an illegal faction. What did they do specifically? Do you know the details of the situation?
Well, I'm not in the faction, but I did not see, but I heard from a guy that I'm not gonna say the name of, that they used assault rifles to mass DM in Montgomery.
So they literally
That's
just
all I
drove in and blatantly started shooting.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing that we don't really talk about much, because it's okay. Imagine
I
this.
think we're getting out of the unrealistic roleplay thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I have that flaw in myself. I go about I sometimes delve through different topics. But I want to just address this quickly. Do you know
Yeah.
about my gray what a gray area is?
The gray area?
Yeah, a gray area.
No, what is that?
Okay, so imagine categories of things that you're allowed to do, categories of things that you're not allowed to do, and then there's the gray area. So the things you're allowed to do, I call it the white things. Okay, the things you're not allowed to do is the black things, and the gray area is something that you may be allowed to do and may not be allowed to do.
So it's like you need admin supervision to do some.
No, you don't. No. It's just that
Oh,
they're not well defined.
I understand.
They're not well defined. That's the thing. That's the gray area. Mass DMing is pretty well defined. It's in the black area. It's not allowed. They knew what they were doing was not allowed. They just did it because they could. Pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They did it for the 5 seconds of fame that they got. Bravo to them.
No. Actually, they killed a lot of people because they tried to tax a faction. Okay, when
So I just asked you if you knew the
wait.
details.
Yes, I know the details, but I thought I couldn't say them like right now. You know.
Oh, okay. Well, alright then.
So.
Let's listen. Let's go back to unrealistic roleplay. How do you define unrealistic roleplay?
Well, if you give me access to evidence.
Yeah, I'll give you access
actually
to the interview room, interview access.
Okay.
So now you have interview access.
So I was sent this by a friend,
Hmm.
and I defined this as unrealistic roleplay because he is, as you see, dead but screaming. It,
Hold on. I just want to share this with everybody. If that's okay. Can I? Do you mind if I share this with people?
yeah, sure, why not?
I'll censor the name just to be safe. This is kind of funny. We don't really have a lot of funny things, so I can't even censor.
It is kind of funny. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna.
It's just a guy messing around out of character wise, but yeah, it is kind of silly. Yeah, especially if a community is trying to enforce like strict regulations. So, alright, here we go.
Yeah, that is like unrealistic roleplay.
So
because
he's-
dead.
See, that's not even the issue with rules. That's the issue with the script. Why does the script allow a dead person to scream?
Well, he's in a downed position. There's like two positions: downed and dead.
He looks like he's in the position of self-cunnilingus. That's what he looks like.
No, he's just giving himself a fellation.
That's exactly what I just said. Yeah, fellation, not the cunnilingus, because he's a man. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
let's not judge by appearance. Let's. Okay, so basically, yeah, I mean, this is again a situation that's obviously not allowed. You can pretty much report that person. That's not what we're talking about here. That's not unrealistic roleplay. That's just power gaming. Okay, again, power gaming. I know there's a trend here. Power gaming and unrealistic roleplay are kind of mixed up together. Very commonly. When we talk about it, it's like, oh, unrealistic roleplay is just people doing things that they can't do. No, that's power gaming. That's already explained. Unrealistic roleplay is something much more vague. Like, unrealistic roleplay is LSRP admins going, oh, you can't rob people with sports cars and assault rifles. That is some definition of unrealistic roleplay.
Why not?
That's what the rules say. They say it's unrealistic.
How is it unrealistic?
I
to
wasn't
rob
allowed-
someone with a sports car?
Well, it doesn't. I
And
guess
an assault rifle.
in a way I agree with it because it doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen often.
Well, it can happen in real life.
Sure, it can. Yeah. So,
But
do you
what is
think?
so
Do you think
unrealistic?
roleplay so? Okay, I guess this is a more fundamental question. Do you think roleplay service should be about replicating real life, or creating, basically allowing you to create anything you want with the premise of real life? Should it just
The
be
first
replicating?
Yeah,
So
just
it-
replicate real life. So there's more. You can deep dive in real life and live another life. Yeah.
I don't see roleplay service as a way to live another. Kind of. It's like I'm making a character. It's not exactly me living another life. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's definitely a difficult thing to answer. Let's go back to the question: how do you define unrealistic roleplay?
Well, in the interview room, I sent 2 pictures, and that would obviously mean unrealistic.
So okay, this is I'm not gonna bother showing this. It's just a
Nah,
guy.
don't show it.
Yeah.
Don't
It's just
show it.
it's just a guy saying. Wait,
The
is this?
first one is unrealistic roleplay because his name.
That's just
and then-
the first one is power gaming. The first one is power gaming. Oh wait, hold on. You pasted 2 more pictures. My bad. Oh, that's just somebody using a celebrity's name.
Yeah, that's.
That's not
But-
it's not unrealistic because
It
people
is-
can't have celebrity names.
No, listen. He is on top of pizza stacks, singing, "Darling, you look perfect." How is that realistic?
That's not real. That's. I mean, is he on drugs? Could have a bank.
Probably.
Yeah, that's the thing. Why? I imagine a lot of people who roleplay people who are on narcotics end up being put in admin jails because admins are going, "Oh fuck you, you're trolling," basically. And that's probably an issue that's not even talked about at all. I think I've had a few cases where my characters roleplay being on drugs, and I roleplayed my characters being on drugs, and I got in trouble for that. But again, I guess it depends with the way the person conducts himself. How do you define unrealistic roleplay? That's the question. How do you make a rule that says you cannot realistically roleplay? Unrealistically roleplay.
Well, if I made a server and made rules and stuff like that, I would
Write it
honestly
down.
let
Write it down in the
yeah.
interview room right now. I just want to have your interpretation. How about you write it down, and I'll get more people in. We'll have a discussion with them. Okay? I'll leave access to the interview room to you. Okay?
Okay.
And I want your interpretation. And at the end of this thing, we're gonna have a look at people's interpretations. This is just something I just came up with. I'm sorry if I didn't do it to other people. But yeah, thank you so much for coming today. Hope you have a fantastic day. All right.
Yep. I hope you have a fantastic day too, bro. Like,
Alright.
Dobrotska, obrigado.
Yeah, definitely. Hello. Welcome.
Hello. Okay, so what are we talking about?
So,
How are you today?
I'm quite fine.
Hey,
Uh,
think about.
you just changed your name again. You changed your name a lot.
Yes.
So how should I call you? Should I call you Doxy
Пацан.
or
Пацан.
Patsan? Okay, got you. Okay. So listen, Patsan. what? How do you define
Okay.
unrealistic roleplay? Because LSRP is punishing people. Patsan, they're punishing people in for unrealistic roleplay, but they don't even define it. Except you can't have assault rifles and dress sports cars, but they still punish people that don't do that. They do other stuff. How do you define unrealistic roleplay in the rules?
Okay, so basically, you said robbing with AKs, right?
Assault rifles, yeah, AKs included.
Assault rifles. I mean, how is it unrealistic? I have AK-47 in my house. I can rob anyone. How is it unrealistic? I don't know why they define like this. Basically, you can't
That's
even
not the
explain
topic. That's not the question I'm asking you. I'm questioning you if you were a server owner and you had to write down rules preventing people from role playing unrealistically, what would you write? That's the question.
I mean, basically, I will write that unrealistic roleplay is when you proceed to an unlikely to happen action, and your character isn't developed enough.
Okay. Oh, that sounds complicated. Can you go to the interview room and write it down?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Because you are the first one to actually have the idea to, well, except the last one guy who, also did that. But yeah, generally speaking, I think. Do you think it's important to put things in the rules that you're actually gonna, punish people for?
Excuse me, you cut off.
Do you think it's important to put things in the rules first before you punish people for those things?
Yeah, I think so.
Los Angeles roleplay admins don't think so. They punish people on arbitrary things that are common sense. At least in my experience. What are your experience? Have you been a member of LSRP or other roleplay
Yes.
servers?
Okay, I will tell you a story. Look, yesterday, like 2 days ago, I was playing LSRP. Yeah, I'm rolling with my friends. I see SWAT pull
Sorry.
up.
Yeah?
My friend has a shotgun in his car. Yeah.
Yeah?
I hide behind the corner. He drives up to me. He drops out the shotgun. I take it. I run to my flat. I drop it out in my flat, and I come out. When I
Hold
come out,
on. Sorry, I lost it. So, can you...
okay, basically, we have a shootout.
Yeah?
We drive back to our house, and we see police like tailing us, and he took out an M4 for no reason out of the gun rack. So my friend saw two SWAT trucks pull up. He drove inside the yard. How do I explain it? And he parked behind the house, so the SWAT couldn't see us. He gave me a shotgun, and he started driving away. Basically, I started hiding, and the cops didn't see me. I run inside my flat and start the shotgun, and later on come out. And basically, I come up and let them cuff me. After 5 minutes, I get teleported by an admin asking how did you drop the gun. I basically told him my friend dropped the gun out of the window, and he said you didn't even make a slash me when my friend made a slash me, accusing us of stuff, like us for doing something. After a few minutes, that man says, "Where are the guns then?" I said, "It's in the flat." I don't know why he wanted to know that. Sin.
Okay. So okay,
Basically.
okay. Basically, if I'm let me retell the story as I understand it. You were getting chased by the cops. You were outside the vehicle, and your friend was inside the vehicle. Your friend gave you a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is a command in LSP that does let you do that. Yeah, I remember now. It's a new command called pass gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I started
Why do you
guns.
need a command for that? That's not in the
I mean,
rules. That's never been enforced.
yeah, he never. Where does the rule say that I need an
Do you
an
have
slash
the
Amy?
Do you have a ban appeal or something, or like a report or anything?
Yeah, I have a ban appeal. You know what
Okay.
happened after? I didn't tell you the whole story. Basically, my friend logged in because he was eating or something, and he saw his stash door open in his flat because I was renting in his flat. Yeah. Basically, I ran inside of. He basically spawned inside, and he saw his stash door open. He went for his stash, and he found a shotgun and a deagle that I stored. Basically, he took the guns. And
Wait.
he had
Who
to.
took the guns? Just a random guy?
My friend. He was my friend, but I didn't inform him. I didn't even know that he's going to log in.
Okay.
Basically, what happened? Basically, he took the guns and relogged, and
Okay.
because he had to fix his mods. While he tried to log in, he was banned for using voice chat. After a few minutes, I told the admin, Why is my friend banned?" Basically, he said, "You metagamed via voice chat." I said, "How did I metagame? My friend, I don't know where the guns go, you know?" He said, "Your friend logged in and took them." I asked him, "Can I go and look myself?" He said no, and he teleported me back. He didn't even let me see. And then he banned me for voice chat. And when I applied, he said, you must come clean, or you must reappeal in 4 months."
Yeah.
Basically,
So you got banned for 4 months because you got accused of voice chatting. Now here's the
yeah,
thing.
but
Here's the thing. Okay, I'm trying to see this from the perspective of the admin, because like I said, I don't know if your story is true or not. I have no way of knowing if your story is true or not because you told me you don't have any evidence beyond the ban appeal, right?
yeah.
So I can only see the
Oh,
story
Evan.
from the other side. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, what I so first of all, yeah, we'll go on to your definition of that later. I want to address your situation first. Let's look at the Los Santos roleplay rules and see if they actually have a rule against using voiceover commands. I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure they do
They
have
do.
that rule.
They do.
Yeah. So I'm gonna look at that rule and see what it says. So it must be under metagaming or voiceover IP.
Yeah, like I got banned for metagaming via VoIP, but how I was supposed to know that my friend logged in, took the guns? Like I wasn't even on voice chat. Like that was bullshit. Actually, I
You
thought,
understand how, from the admin's perspective, it might seem. It's not
yeah,
the
I
admin's
understand.
fault. It's not the admin's
Yeah,
fault. It's the
was
system that is telling them to issue vague make their own interpretation of the situation and ban people not on evidence but on what it looks like.
yeah, but like I tried to speak with the admin like normally. I tried to explain him the whole situation. Maybe it was just a mistake. Maybe like it was just the timing, because my friend was like the day before with him, and his game was constantly crashing, and he had to weapon mods. His game
You're
started
cutting out a little
crashing.
bit. Okay.
But- Yeah, and
It does
I,
seem sketchy how your friend just joined
I
in at a
know.
perfect time and then took a lot of guns.
Yeah, I
And I'm not
understand.
saying I
Like,
don't believe you. I'm just saying that from an admin's perspective, it looks weird. It's
know.
definitely a gray area. This is the gray areas that we're talking about. Situations where you're not sure if somebody broke a rule or didn't break a rule. Okay. And if we look at the rules, right? If we look at the rules, this is what they say. Use metagaming using voice over IP programs such as TeamSpeak, Skype, blah blah blah, to communicate in character-wise while the game is strictly forbidden. Uh, See, that's interesting. Because you said you had an admin situation, right?
Yep.
You were in an admin situation. You stored guns in the house, but that's not an in-character situation. So even if you were communicating out of character-wise, to tell your friend to come on and take your guns, technically, according to these rules, you want to be violating them.
I mean, depends how the admin looks at it, But like the fact is that half of the LSRP staff is corrupt and they're doing their own thing.
It's not that they're corrupt. I don't think they're genuinely
Listen,
corrupt.
Listen, if an admin goes on, I'm not gonna mention the website. He goes on the website. He's selling weapons. He's selling drugs for in real life.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. I'm not gonna say okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna retract the statement that admins are not corrupt. I'm not gonna make a. I'm not gonna make an opinion on whether admins are corrupt or not. That's not what this is about. This is about the system that holds admins not accountable for anything they do. It's a system that does not allow people to hold admins accountable for what they do, and in the end, it just causes the game to be a waste of time, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, kinda, yeah.
If
Like,
there was a server that would only ban people that they knew were guilty, would you play on this server or the other server?
yeah, it would, but it actually depends. Like, there's like, uh, for example, some people like LSRP, some people like RCRP, and it's everyone's choice. But like, I think the most important thing for a server is how the server is scripted and how the staff team works. That's all you need.
Mm.
Basically,
But
back to
but
back.
right now we're talking
Mhm.
about the making
So
sure that they actually have evidence to punish somebody, though. So that's like a different kind of system. Okay, don't you think a server needs that kind of system? In some cases.
yeah, I think they do.
Well, they don't have that system right now. They don't have that system at all in any community, in any private community.
They don't. And for example, LSRP, they had the server for a long time, and they could have figured that out, but I guess they don't have time for it, or they don't have the
Motivation.
motivation for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And back to what we was talking about, the robbing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I saying the character wasn't developed enough. If it wasn't developed enough, like it's unrealistic, of course. But however, if a character has been through a hellstorm that makes him mental to the stage that he can do that, or for example, so if your character has developed a lot and has done a lot of drugs, and he had only access to an AK-47, and he really needs the money because of withdrawal symptoms or whatever, then he can perfectly rob someone with an AK first chance he gets.
Again, this goes back to the premise of how do we define unrealistic roleplay. So you've actually
Yep.
written your definition. I want to have a
Yeah.
look at that definition,
Let me
read
add
it.
that
You want to edit it? Oh,
here, some more.
okay. I'm gonna get all of that, and I'm gonna just put all of that in a thing here, so that. Oh my God! Hold on, my
But
bad.
basically, if we're comparing, for example, as you said, like LCRP has more strict rules. Yeah, I can confirm with you. They have more strict rules than LSRP. For example, you log on LSRP, you see people driving cheat tags, having M4s, driving around looking to DM people. That never happens in LCRP, to be honest with you.
That happens in OCRP. It just doesn't happen as often. Alright, let's have a look at your
Yeah,
definition of
maybe.
unrealistic roleplay, because you're the first one to define it somehow. Even the guy that I gave access to before that, he didn't define it yet. So let's have a look. This is the first time I'm actually looking at somebody else's definition of unrealistic roleplay, or any definition of unrealistic roleplay. To be honest, this is pretty historic. Let's have a look. Unrealistic roleplay is when you proceed to an unlikely to happen action and your character isn't developed enough. See, that's vague. That's very vague. However,
I
if a character has been through a hellstorm that makes him mental to the stage that he can do that. So if your character has developed a lot and has done a lot of drugs, and only has an AK-47, that's very specific. Are you sure
Yeah,
that
but
fits
it
like a
makes
rule?
sense. It makes sense though.
I
It's
get
just kind of a
the.
small explanation that you can get the point of it, that you must develop your character. And if they mention, for example, you can't roll with an AK-47, that doesn't make any sense. Because in real life, if you own an AK-47, why can't you rob someone?
So you're saying is if you have a character that would be perceived as unrealistic, you need to show development that justifies such unrealism, unrealistic. I actually, it's an interesting idea. It's a way to show that without being immediately banned. if
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe have some kind of unrealistic tokens or something. I don't know. This is an interesting idea because I just have the idea. Let's just let everybody do what they want.
Yeah.
But you're saying we should limit people's creativity to being perceived as realistic from another side, right? Unless they can prove that they have, taken that extra step to, be out of the ordinary. That could work. That is an interesting idea.
Yeah, of course. I
If there
mean,
was a way for me to, like, if there was a system for me to show that my character is, I can obviously like post threads on the forum, but admins are not gonna look at them. They're not obliged to look at them. They don't care about them. They don't even enforce the rules written down in the rules section. But if there was actual system that would make admins have to look, have to check, character stories or something like that, match them up with what your character is doing. That would be interesting. So the idea I had personally, to have traits so that you can set your own traits for your character so that admins can check them to see if your character is capable of doing certain things. Something along those lines.
I mean, if you're an experienced role player, like if you roleplay a lot on roleplay servers, and like it's obviously that like most of these players are developing actually.
Yeah.
But the fact is that people like the new people, like they don't know these kind of things, because like for example on the server, like people has stories of themselves. They're posting screenshots and everything, but like the new player won't know that, and like you need to give him a brief explanation of everything.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue. The new player has no idea what rules are being enforced or not, because it's not the rules in the rules section. It's something else. It's some unwritten rules. That's my biggest issue. That's my biggest problem with the communities right now, and the way they behave. They're just seemingly pulling rules out of their butt whenever it's convenient. You can't punish. Like, imagine, like, have you had a situation when you did something, an admin saw you do it, punished you for it, but you couldn't have possibly known that that is against the rules because it's not written down as it's against the rules. Have you had that situation?
Yeah, I had that situation, and I have had plenty of situations before, like something like that. Yeah, something similar that you said, but like I just have no comment to it because
yeah.
Yeah.
So the way you defined, okay, let's go back to the way you defined unrealistic play. I'll be frank with you, like, to a lot of people this will make a lot of sense. I kind of get the idea that you're going for. So correct me if I'm wrong. Basically, you're saying if a person performs very unrealistic roleplay, they must show that their character is justified in acting in such manner. That's what you're saying.
I'm basically saying that when you start the character, you should start developing the character however you want, but it should be realistic.
Well,
and like there should be like a whole grid about it, like how you can develop your character, maybe some ideas to the new players, maybe how it works.
well, there are guides already for character developments and whatnot. We're talking about strict rule enforcement, like what's at the border of it. Because we want to limit the gray area. We want to make sure that we don't punish innocent players from, just developing their characters or just trying their best to develop their characters.
Basically, I have a friend who's waiting to be confirmed, and he's actually has a lot of knowledge about it. And you could have a really nice talk with him because he has led official factions on RCRP, and he wants to talk with you. He just
He's
messaged
waiting
me,
for
you're like,
he's waiting to
he's
be
waiting to be
verified.
confirmed. Yeah.
What's his name?
His name is Liquid Hound.
I see it.
Yeah, so if you can confirm him.
Can you?
He said he would like to have an interview with you because he has lots of knowledge
Okay.
of leading official factions. Yeah.
Okay. I'll verify him. I see that he actually posted proper.
Thanks. So
proper-
basically what I was trying to say that LSRP admins are trash, and each player CRP.
Don't say that.
And the future belongs to Belgorodska OPG.
Okay, never mind. Your plan's gonna get verified when admins get to it. Alright, let's get the other person that's in here waiting for the... hello, you're back.
Hey,
So you wrote did you write the, definition, your own interpretation?
I was writing it, but then I stopped halfway.
Okay. Why,
Yeah.
why is that? Was it difficult?
Yeah, because I just don't think that I can actually think of a good answer to your, if you get what I mean.
So
Like it's pretty,
you think it's difficult to explain what unrealistic roleplay
yes,
is in the
it's
rules?
pretty difficult to explain.
Can you show like half of the work that you've done? This would be interesting for me to like just see like a glimpse of it.
No, I already deleted it
Oh
though.
well, okay, well, can you try? At the very least, I'm curious.
You want me to write it again?
Just something. Just I'm gonna have a look at it, because I haven't seen a proper like definition of unrealistic roleplay anywhere. It's just supposed to be this common sense thing. Oh, you're role playing unrealistically. From another person's perspective, a lot of things can be unrealistic to them because they
Okay,
haven't experienced them
sorry
themselves.
for interrupting you. Sorry for
Sorry, yeah.
interrupting you. But do you mind if I go write it up real quick?
Yeah, sure.
And you verify Liquid Hound and actually speak with him because he's a part of a situation. If you know who Liquid Hound is.
Liquid Hound?
Yeah, I think Doxy spoke about him. I mean, Patan spoke about.
Okay,
Let
well,
me
he got
see the
verified
paper.
anyway, so I might as well get him in.
Yep, just get him in. He has a lot of situations to talk with you about.
Well, we only have like 10 minutes, but okay, we'll
I'm just gonna send you the definition in PM. You don't even
yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah,
put
yeah.
it
No,
in
no,
the-
you could just put it in interview room.
I will.
Yeah. Also that.
Later.
Yeah, later. Okay. And also, yeah, if you're curious, that last guy who thought it was funny to shout people out and scream. Yep, that's disruption of events. So, rules are rules. Gotta enforce the rules. So about that. But then again, you shouldn't be, doing all that kind of stuff. Alright, let's get the other guy in. So there's somebody else waiting right now. Okay, let's get the guy waiting in first. And we'll extend this interview a little longer than typical. Hello, welcome.
Hi, welcome. Wait, why am I saying welcome?
Yeah.
Bring me in.
Greetings.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm alright, yourself?
I'm pretty good. So what communities have you been a part of?
On SAMP, just LSRP really.
Okay. Oh, how are you involved with LSRP?
Many factions. Mostly, I think the biggest faction I was in was MS-13. You know, is MS-13?
Yeah, the Hispanic organization.
Yeah, I was in that for, 2 years.
Yeah, they had a CK clause and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. Okay, so what do you think about the idea that we should only ban and punish people that are actually guilty? We can prove that they're guilty. What do you think about that idea?
Well, the thing is, you've got to first define what unrealistic roleplay is.
Exactly, that's what we're trying to do today.
So, I know, but to define unrealistic roleplay, you have to define roleplay as a whole. So
Well,
how would you define roleplay?
We can just look at the definition of roleplay. Developing, playing a character, but let's look at the definition. According
No,
to...
I'm asking you personally though. What is your definition of roleplay?
Well, my definition of roleplay is creating a character and developing that character through experiences with other players.
Yeah.
That's my definition of roleplay.
See, the way I define roleplay is portraying reactions and emotion to a realistic standard.
that's interesting because it's very
Yeah.
different to what I have.
Yeah. So it's not just about taking a character and making a character, developing a character. That's a part of roleplay, but to me, roleplay is portraying the emotions and reactions realistically, and that's how you get your definition of unrealistic roleplay, because it'd be the complete opposite.
Mm.
Now, there's people going around saying, like, I think it was 2 guys ago that said, he had an AK or a shotgun, and if he had that, why can't he rob? But how is that realistic in the sense of portraying emotions realistically? You have to consider why that person would want to rob someone, and that's where the development part comes into it. There's got to be a build-up towards why they do what they do. Like, for example, we'll take DM. A lot of people just randomly go kill people. And it's true in the real world, we have people, serial killers, psychopaths, and stuff like that. But they don't just start out by killing people straight away. You hear about, like, these serial killers who start out torturing animals first and stuff like that.
Well, okay, again, like...
and then, it moves up. So it is unrealistic for people just to go out and do things without any sort of progress or development towards that.
Absolutely agree with you. I myself justify all the actions that my characters do, but the problem happens is when an admin who has not seen the development of my character judges my character on their perception of what's realistic and not.
Yeah. Well, then how do you prove your development? Like, there's ways you can do it. There's screenshots, which are very... There's two sides of screenshots. One, I personally don't like screenshots because information can be metagamed for them, and a lot of people do it. You might think that they might say, "Oh, I will never, metagame from a screenshot," but subconsciously, you will metagame from a screenshot. Everyone has done it.
I have a suggestion. Imagine you can set a list of traits, skills, talents, experiences, or something. When you and that will only when you make a character, you could set like 5 traits that separate you from the norm. Okay, and an admin can see them. You can show them to other players selectively, and you can change them. But when you change them, they only change after 12 hours, so you can't abuse them.
Right. But you see, the problem with that is how do you prove that character has that traits in the first place? Why does that character have this
because of the fact that the person decided that they had the traits a long time ago. At least either when they made the character or at least 12 hours ago.
Yeah. But do you not see like the flaw in that? So if I could just go on and make a character and say that they're, a serial killer without any sort of background behind it apart from the trait system, I'm a serial killer, he likes to murder, and then just walk up into a club and shoot everyone.
Well, you see, that's a different discussion altogether. If you, I haven't published the rules that I've made myself, but killing everybody in a club is already against the rules.
Yeah, but you know what I
mean? Mass DM
is
already against the rules.
It's an extreme example, but
we're not discussing things that are definitely against the rules already. We're discussing specifically unrealistic roleplay. What you're talking about is Mass DM.
Yeah, but I know I'm talking about Mass DM, but that's an example.
But that's a bad. Can you give a better example specifically about unrealistic roleplay?
Okay, so we'll just talk about someone who joins a gang, for instance, and he's already in the mindset of killing because his traits are whatever he wants to put down, right? He can't prove that apart from his traits, and it wouldn't work. It wouldn't be a fair system. You can't say that someone's...
Why do you have to prove that somebody is innocent?
You don't have to prove that anyone is innocent. You have to prove that they are in that mindset, and they realistically got to that mindset. That's why a trait system wouldn't work, in my opinion.
So hold on. The problem here. Can you tell me the problem? So somebody joins a gang and they are.
You're cutting out, man.
So the person. So you're telling me an example. A person joins a gang and they immediately have a mindset of a killer.
Yeah.
Why is that unrealistic?
Because who joined? No, do you know how gangs work?
Yeah, gangs are illegal organizations.
Yeah.
That recruit people, that do kinds of illegal activities, including up to them what they do depending on the opportunities that they have.
Yeah.
It's very flexible what an illegal organization or a gang is.
Yeah, but the way gangs normally work is that
by the stereotypes.
You have not even the stereotypes. You have the older people that are influencing the younger people, and that's throughout history. The people that are normally generally older and considered more wise are more influential on the younger
Yeah.
generations.
So what again? Going back to the original question, why can't a young person join a gang with the mindset that they're gonna kill somebody?
Because it doesn't work like that. That's never happened. You don't. They get groomed into killing that person. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they can't join and someone says, right, you got to kill this person. Like, I'm saying that can happen, but they won't immediately because it's unrealistic. You can't like go like, I'm gonna join this gang so I can kill people. It doesn't make sense.
Well,
You know what I
if the thing is, they're not allowed to just kill anyone they want. They can only kill people that have somehow wronged them in the first place.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, human nature don't work like that. It doesn't work.
But why do
straight
we?
like that. Like,
What's the? I guess the eternal question is, what's the purpose of a roleplay server? Is it to just replicate real life, or is it to make our own characters that are, different?
well, that's again the definition of roleplay as a whole. What is roleplay to you?
I guess that's the
That's what
premise
you
of
have
the
to go
con.
back to. What is roleplay to you as a person?
Yeah. My problem with the way that it's what we're going right now, because we can't really define unrealistic roleplay. Like you said, we can't define it. You don't act unrealistically. But what is unrealistic? How do you define an unrealistic act? Is it an act that the person in your circumstances wouldn't normally do?
Well, in my opinion, yeah, it would be anything that would go against a realistic portrayal of emotions and reactions.
Again, that's let me bring up the situation that I had. That was kind of deemed as an unrealistic roleplay. It was kind of mentioned was like secret reasons to the end, but it was really also this thing pretty much. Have you heard about this? So my character was selling a property. Have you heard about that situation?
I have not, no.
So my character was selling a property. She was in possession of an unlicensed firearm, but she used to have a firearm license, and she used to use it to defend her life as well as life of other people, including police officers.
Yep.
So she decides, better be judged by 12 than carried by 6. You know what that means? Better go to jail than be killed.
Well, better be safe than sorry, is what you mean, yeah?
Better go to jail than be killed. Yeah, I guess something like that.
Yeah.
So basically, what happened was somebody was stabbing somebody in the street.
Right.
My character had no context to the situation, but someone was stabbing somebody else in the street. My character knows that she has every legal right to defend life. She has done it in the past. So my character development justifies saving that life. Right?
Yeah.
Yet I get admin jailed for seeking reasons to DM. That's the official reason. I think the actual reason was unrealistic roleplay.
Right. So, honestly, the situation that you're describing to me, if you're saying that you've developed your character to the point where she has saved lives, she cares about other human beings, and she saw someone in pain who's being attacked on her, and she took it upon herself to save that life, that's not unrealistic, providing that, like you said, it's all been developed in the past and there has been that progress. It wouldn't be unrealistic roleplay at all.
A lot of people agree with that. None of those people, well, some of those people are actually admins as well, but the server management and the admins that I reported along the way, because you see, I actually went all in on this situation. I got punished, so I reported the admin that punished me. The admin that responded to that report told me that the admin did nothing wrong. So I reported that admin, and I continued doing that all the way to the server management. They all upheld that basically I was wrong.
Right.
So I think the problem is with the system. I have no way to show the admin my development. They have no obligation to look at my development.
No, they don't.
Exactly.
They really don't. And like anyone says an admin has an obligation to do this for you, honestly, no.
Exactly. That's just the blatant truth. So maybe we should have some kind of a system in place where we can actually show that maybe, if we did something that's in a gray area, we don't get punished immediately, but maybe we have some time to explain and justify it, So that people can't just do it, but they have to justify their action. Maybe every time they kill somebody, for example, or shoot somebody, they have to write in the justification for why they do it. Would that be a better system?
Well, see, the thing is, that's going to take up a lot of time as well.
Well, of the people.
It could work, yeah, but then it's got to be verified by an admin as well. And then you've got to understand, time's money, man.
We are separating though. We're separating things that are definitely against the rules from the gray areas, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, no, you're right. We are, but you've got to understand like the amount of work an admin has to do.
When I started this community, I actually realized that the amount of work that admin has to do is a lot, and you can imagine that the amount of work that an admin has to do in this server is a lot more than what an admin has to do in an ordinary server, because we have to submit all evidence.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's one of those situations where it won't go either way because unfortunately time is money and no one has the time.
But that's my argument.
Unfortunate.
I actually think it's possible to organize it so that instead of if you get out of the gray area, if you just have the burden of proof, and if you don't meet the burden of proof, you let the player back in. Not only will you have innocent people not getting punished, it will actually be easier for an admin. Why? Because an admin will only have to do a set of tasks that they know. There's nothing arbitrary about what they do.
Right.
They just have to make a judgment based on the rules, based on the circumstances, and that's it. If it meets the burden, we punish. If it doesn't meet the burden, we don't punish. The way it works right now, it's operated on quote-unquote common sense, which is different from person to person. I think you would agree, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think that causes issues in communities?
Yes and no.
Okay, elaborate.
Well, yes, because like you said, there's justifications for why people do what they do.
Yeah. I know, I understand that.
But no, because they're there to do a job and they're there to enforce the rules, and they have to go through so many people, so many reports.
We're not talking about enforcing the rules though. We're going about enforcing their own perception of what is right and what is wrong.
So I said that again, you cut out the end.
We're not talking about enforcing the rules though. We're talking about enforcing their perception of what is right and what is wrong. Because more common than not, admins on LSRP, they're not enforcing the rules that are written down. They're enforcing things that are common sense, apparently.
If we're talking about people's perceptions of right and wrong, we're going down a fucking rabbit hole, man.
Yeah, but that's the point.
Everyone's morals are completely different.
That's the point. And LSRP is making their admins act on their own morals, on their own perception of what is right and what is wrong. They don't set a burden of proof. They don't require you to prove anything. Admins can do anything. So essentially, if they subconsciously dislike somebody, that person is going to get punished more.
Yeah.
But that's anywhere. That's anywhere. That's understandable. That's anywhere. But at the very least, if we have a burden of proof that's set, there's going to be less arguments. There's going to be less frustration. There's going to be less time wasted. In my opinion, at the very least. Don't you agree with me?
Well, see, what you're kind of talking about is how faction management works. And when people apply to be official factions, they have to document their, like, faction development.
Yeah.
From how, like, every day, they have to write down what has been done in that day, and they send it to faction management when they're applying for official or whatever, right? So you're saying you want, like, a dedicated team that deals with these grey areas of what you'd consider.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say a team. I'd say a procedure to deal with them. So
you'd have to dedicate a team though, because you couldn't take the time out of other admin duties. You'd have to have a dedicated team to be able to handle.
Or we could do something a little controversial, something a little experimental, something that the justice system does in real life. When it doesn't meet the burden of proof, we don't punish. What do you think about that?
Say that again. You keep cutting out, man.
Sorry about that.
Your internet or...
So instead of dedicating an entire team to the gray area, we just don't punish when there is a gray area.
But you can't do that though, man. Like
why not?
Because you can't just say, because it's a gray area. That's the thing. You don't know what's right and what's wrong. And like I said before, everyone's perception of right and wrong is completely different down to the individual.
Yeah.
But the grey area is a grey area for a reason. You can't just leave a grey area untouched.
Here's how it goes. We establish a burden of proof to prove that something happened. If it's met, we punish. If it's not met, we don't punish.
Right.
It's that simple. Have you had the chance to look at the rules that I have written up myself?
What, in the rules channel?
No, well that too, but I actually recently written up my own kind of interpretation of like an in-game rules. Okay.
Right. I can't see anything in the rules channel.
Okay, you know what? Might as well publish it. I'm gonna publish it. Fuck it.
I can't see anything in the rules chapter
Okay.
anyway. Like,
I'm gonna publish it in the. Should I publish it all the way? No, I'm gonna publish it for now in the interview room. I'm gonna think about whether I should publish it all together. I just want your opinion. Okay. So this is what I came up with. You have 2 chapters: serious offenses and mild offenses, much like you have in here. Serious offenses are 90-day ban times the other serious offenses you had in the past year, so that if you have repeated serious offenses, then it multiplies with every additional one. Mild offenses scale up from formal warning to 2-hour ban to 24-hour ban to 7-day ban, and then it stays at 7-day ban.
Right, I'm not gonna quickly.
And it resets every month. But yeah, you can search for common terms such as like power gaming. We have 2 ways of power gaming, and we also have death matching in there. And I separated them. I have something called non-roleplay, and I have something called unfair roleplay. So I consider death matching to be unfair roleplay because it's not unrealistic for innocent people to die, but it's not fair. Non-roleplay is just the things that are kind of unrealistic, I guess. This would be the closest definition. By the way, my rules use the word unrealistic 3 times more than the LSRP rules do. They don't have a rule set for unrealistic roleplay, except the one saying that using an assault rifle or a sports car doing robbery is considered unrealistic equipment. That's the only precedent that they send so far for unrealistic roleplay.
I'm reading this non-roleplay part real quick.
Yeah. So, what do you think about this? With everything defined, so there's no argument. Okay? There's no interpretation, there's no room for miscommunication, it's just defined, and there's very little gray area. The gray area is still there. It's always gonna be there. But it's much smaller. Yeah, but it's much smaller than what is happening right now in LSRP. Because admins have to act from their perception. That's the system. They have to act from their perception of what's right and what's wrong, what they perceive as unrealistic roleplay, what they don't see as unrealistic roleplay. And the person that's on the other end, they can't do anything if the admin wronged them. The only thing they can do is report them and hope for the best.
Well,
they don't know the evidence they have, anything like that.
So there's like different levels of there's different levels of unrealistic roleplay. You can agree with that with me, yeah? There's completely different levels. Like there's your level that you went through, and then there's someone who literally joins the server and just starts fucking around. I can swear, right?
Well, whatever. Yeah.
They start messing around, stealing cars, just running up to people, punching them randomly and stuff like that. Like there's 2 completely different levels of unrealistic, yeah?
There's people that genuinely don't want to play, and it's very difficult to tell which intention a person has from an outside perspective, which is again why we end up with so many different things. This is just like in real life. If you look at the justice system, right?
Yeah.
The justice system in the United States has a very high burden of proof compared to civil courts. Civil courts have a lower burden of proof. Why? Because they want to make sure that the people they put in jail are actually guilty of their offenses. Yeah. Now, disregarding the fact that there's all kinds of predatory plea deals and other nonsense and other corruption that's going down, the idea there from the beginning is to make sure that innocent people don't get punished.
Right. The issue is that a lot of stuff that can be handled in characterly gets handled out of characterly, like your situation, for example.
Yeah, that's another thing that I absolutely agree with. I personally would wish to, for example, multiple of my characters got denied from joining a law enforcement organization because apparently they were unrealistic, and that was very arbitrary to me, and I had to make new characters. Yeah. How do they determine whether my characters are unrealistic or not?
The issue there is
it's reputation.
Reputation, yeah. People judge you on your OLC reputation, no matter what. No matter what character you make, how many different characters you make, how many different factions you join. If you're known as a certain type of person or have a reputation of a certain type of person, you're going to be judged for that type of person for the rest of your roleplay,
Yeah, and I made mistakes when I was in 2016. I wasn't really caring about my reputation. I was caring just about developing character in my own time. But when I made videos, I would actually just play how I was more entertaining. And I didn't intentionally break rules, but I still, I still suffer to this day from the things that I'd done back in 2016.
Yeah.
My problem is that a governing agency, in this case admins, shouldn't be judging people based on reputation. They should be judging people based on things they can prove that they've done.
Yeah. But again, man, we're going into a deep rabbit hole because we're talking about people's morality, and it's a complicated system because now we're describing human nature as a whole. And that whole
Yeah, well,
mindset of
we can't prevent human nature. We can't get rid of biases. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a system which minimizes their impact. That's the idea.
a system that would minimize that would be the least amount of admin interaction.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
The least amount of admin interaction would minimize a system of bias, a
I
system
agree.
of unrealistic role play and being punished for that. Even there's stuff that's obvious. There's stuff that's clearly obvious that, people need to go.
Well, not obvious to a lot of people. It's not obvious to a lot of people that come here that say all kinds of stuff, like this
I
whole
mean,
lady.
come on, like there's mass DM obvious, OCH obvious, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. People need to go for that reason. So obviously admins are essential for that sort of reasons, but the thing is, I haven't seen a roleplay community with a fully working justice system in Characterly.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And there's no way to actually roleplay and enforce that ideally because, again, time is money. You have to be present when everyone else is present.
Well, we're enforcing out of character regulations, and again, the idea is we don't interfere unless we can prove that. Here's the thing, okay? One thing I want to make clear: admins can punish people. Like if you look at, I want you to have a look at. There's actually rules against administrators. Have a look at Chapter 2, Mild Offenses, Part 2, C, Punishment without sufficient evidence. So, have a look and tell me what you think about that. So there's a grace period of 48 hours from when an admin punishes somebody until they have to submit evidence or unban that person if they can't find enough evidence. So the idea that admins will behave pretty similarly still, but in the long term,
No, hold up, 1 second.
Yeah.
See what you're describing here in, submitting the evidence.
Yeah.
While the staff should do that, that's the perfect place for the player who is in the grey area to submit their development, their justification as well. And that's where a communication can happen, a conversation can happen on that,
like a court. You're describing pretty much like a court hearing.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Unfortunately, it has to be like a court.
Yeah.
Because it's not handled characterly in the court systems because no one has the time to roleplay a court system in characterly, like in game. Like we've seen it done in forums and stuff. And how long does it take for someone to reply to a fucking forum post?
I've actually had a pretty interesting situation in the courts. My thread in the courts, I tried it once and it didn't work. I hired a lawyer. I did all that. I was trying to appeal the case where my character. Basically what happened was somebody was stomping with high heels on somebody's head. My character ran up and shoved that person off of, that person that was being stomped on because that person being stomped on was their friend. And the cops came arrested her for battery. So that was the court case. And it led nowhere. It just led nowhere. And I had to make a new character. And my problem is I keep making new characters and it's not going anywhere because the system is not improving. I have
the thing is your reputation follows you as well. That's the issue as well. Your reputation is going to follow you.
Yeah, that doesn't matter because I don't necessarily always control my reputation. What if my reputation gets ruined by some false allegations, which is also possible? Yeah. What if something like that? It's punishing innocent people.
I'm not saying it's completely your fault. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm just saying your reputations follow everyone everywhere where they go. If they're known in the community, they're gonna know.
Yeah, I'm not saying that even if we introduce like a full-on court system that it's not gonna be biased. I'm saying it's gonna be more defined. It's gonna treat more people equally, and that's the goal at the end, to treat everybody the same. But obviously, it's not.
Definitely. But again, even with the court system, rises so many issues that you can't even work around. Because first of all, what's the average age of people that roleplay?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
We're talking 15 to about 20, yeah?
But
How many of those people are judges and lawyers in real life that
That's-
know what they're on about? It's a whole nother issue, man. Like,
Yeah.
we can sit here, we can, debate about ways to work around it, what stuff to do, but the thing is, there just needs to be a conversation between the punishing staff member and the player. Whereas, like you said, and I'm reading this, this punishment without sufficient evidence
yeah.
is a perfect way to do it. So, say someone gets.
So you actually like the system that I came up with?
I do. I think there needs to be a conversation of why.
Yeah. Do you think the punishing staff should show the evidence they have against the person they're punishing?
Yeah.
They don't do that right now in LSRP.
Well, they don't have to see how I feel. It is if that person feels like it was unjustified, completely. Just, how ban appeals work right now, right? Say someone is hacking, right?
That's the point. This is not how.
The staff then show how they found out that person was hacking, right?
They don't show that. No.
No. When I might not be on LSRP.
We actually had a lot of people talk about how they got falsely banned for hacking when they were J-bugging. You know what J-bugging is?
No, I don't.
J is the key you press to enter a passenger seat. If you press that key and then the vehicle drives away, your character will teleport into it after a couple of seconds. So,
right.
so that's the misunderstanding that caused a lot of people to get actually punished for that. Let's have a look how I defined like hacking and stuff. Just Control F hacking, and you will see it in it's serious offenses part 3. Unfair use of unfair third-party modifications. That's how I defined it.
Yeah.
As you can see, there are some itemized words like third-party software and unfair advantage. Those are itemized phrases. If you look at the beginning of the part, everything itemized will be defined. Okay, so you don't have to read everything. You don't have to waste all that time. But if you don't know something, the definition is there.
Yeah.
The context is there. So there's less confusion, less time spent arguing, less time waiting for the other side to respond. Does it meet the burden of proof? Does it not meet the burden of proof? And that's it. Yes, innocent people will get punished sometimes still. But there will be much less innocent people getting punished. And if they are punished, they have a chance to come back after a certain time. And as long as they don't, wind up in the very unfortunate circumstance in which they look like they're hacking again, I mean, it's very unusual for an ordinary person to look like they're hacking, right? Mm-hmm. And again, we're already setting a higher precedent, a higher standard than LSRP setting, because we've seen none of this is in LSRP. No definitions. The definition they have for deathmatch is sufficient reason, which isn't defined in itself, and it's up to interpretation. It's just a mess. And the bottom line is they're banning people and they're issuing punishments for things that are not written in the rules section. And that's my problem. The person couldn't have possibly known that what they were doing is against the rules.
No, they can't. But the thing is, with LSRP's rule, they've clearly written somewhere. I can find it if you want.
We looked at them earlier.
Admin's discretion on how they handle a situation.
Yeah, they have just a different discussion.
Have you seen? It's something like that. It's like it's admin's discretion. Most roleplay servers have that. Like I know VRP had that when VRP was a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Almost every server. I don't think I've seen any server that does what we are trying to do and actually punish only the players that are guilty of their offenses. Mm-hmm. So this is like a new entire idea. The idea that we only punish people that are actually guilty of the specific offenses. So they are vague with their explanations. They are vague, and they pretty much do what they want at the time.
Yeah. And the thing is, the admin team will always back the admin team, no matter which roleplay server you go to.
Absolutely. But this system that I came up with allows you to hold the administrator accountable. So, for example, if an admin thinks that you are breaking a rule, they can issue a punishment immediately. But within 48 hours, they have a choice. Either submit enough evidence to prove that you broke that rule, or unban you. If they did neither of those, then they are themselves guilty of a mild offense, failing to submit sufficient evidence.
Yeah.
So they won't get demoted immediately. Just want to point it out.
See, I don't think I kind of agree with you on the sense that evidence needs to be submitted, but I don't think it should come from the admin at first. I think it should come to the player explaining why they feel like it was unjustified ban.
Why is that? Because a player might not even have any clue why an admin banned him. It's an admin taking the action.
Yeah, no, see, when you're banned for a reason. You know, you don't type, /ban.
Not always. Sometimes admins go rogue and ban some people just because they dislike them. Sometimes admins can be corrupt.
Right. But they normally have to give a reason in the ban. You know what I mean? There's always a reason in the ban. So say someone's banned, someone's kicked, someone's jailed, whatever. They can go argue that case and say, this is wrong, this is why. So if they got kicked for unrealistic roleplay, or jail for unrealistic roleplay, create a report. Why did this happen? Can you explain it? And then that's when the admin has to say, you did this, you did that. And then the player can obviously rebuttal with, this is the reason I did this is the reason I did that.
Yeah, I did the exact same thing when I got punished for unrealistically shooting somebody who was stabbing somebody else. I brought up the fact that my character had the development. Nobody cared, nobody listened, and no one was held accountable.
You can't teach old dogs new tricks. Like, see, we can sit here, we can discuss it. Like someone said this on
I got to. Okay, so you're saying that people don't change? Or what are you saying?
Not always. I'm saying it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks. Like
I'm not trying to change Lusanta's roleplay. I'm not trying to change Lusanta's roleplay. I'm trying to. That's not what this is about. This isn't fix Lusanta's roleplay. This is.
No, I'm not saying
roleplay union.
Trying to fix Lusanta's roleplay. I'm saying people are going to be set in their ways. How long has Sam been out? Do you know what I mean?
This isn't just about Sam though. This is about any roleplay, even any private community. At the sense that any private gaming community, any kind of. I guess the name is kind of misleading in this case. But we're just discussing the enforcement of rules in a way that we can hold the administrators accountable for when they ban somebody and they don't submit evidence. That's the concept. The concept is you can't ban somebody and keep them banned for over 2 days unless you submit evidence. And if you do, the player can report you, show that you haven't submitted evidence, and then you'll be guilty of a mild offense, which the first time it's a formal warning, then it's a 2-hour ban, then it's a 24-hour ban, and when it goes to a 7-day ban, and this is all within a month, so like if you do 2 mild offenses and then the next month you do a mild offense, that's a whole new mild offense. But if you do 4 mild offenses within 1 month and you're actually guilty of them, you get demoted. That's the idea.
Yeah. Honestly, I still don't think it's on the admin to reply first. I think if the player has an issue, the player needs to bring it up.
But why do you think that way?
Because it's say you go to jail, right? In real life, I'm saying, say you get arrested, right? And you lawyer up, you go to court and stuff. You're going to be presenting your counter argument, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. You need to present your counter argument on why it was wrong. First, you find out your charges.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When a police officer arrests you, they have 48 hours or 2 weeks to submit evidence to prove that you're actually guilty.
Well, they wouldn't arrest you in the first place without either probable cause or evidence. And what do you mean?
Because what if they're not held accountable? What if they don't have to submit evidence and they just want to get rid of you?
I'm not saying that, you're not held accountable. I'm saying if a player does reply, makes a ban appeal and says this was wrong.
You're operating with the perception that all admins are rational people, everywhere.
You cut out, man. Say that again.
You're operating with the premise that all admins ever are well-intentioned. All admins.
Oh no, I'm not saying they are. No, God no. No, definitely not. No, not all admins are well-intentioned at all. No.
So what is stopping an ill-intentioned admin when they are not held accountable for not submitting any evidence to just ban an innocent person?
I'm not saying they're not going to be held accountable.
They're not going to be held accountable. I'm telling you they're not going to be held accountable.
I'm saying they should be held accountable if they don't reply to the initial complaint. If a player complains and there's no response from the banning admin, the jailing admin, the kicking admin, for 48 hours, like you said, then there's an issue.
So you're saying they shouldn't need to submit the evidence until the player complains?
Yeah.
But then they haven't collected any evidence because they didn't expect the player to complain.
Well, no, well, that's the thing. You should always be, as an admin, collecting evidence.
Well, if you're collecting evidence anyway, why not post it?
Because it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time.
You
If
already
a player-
spent.
if you intentionally went onto a server to hack, right?
Right.
Like people have done it before, right?
They do it all the time.
Yeah, intentionally go on the server to hack, and you get banned. You know why the fuck you got banned. Do you know what I mean?
You're giving me a hypothetical that does happen, yes. But what you're saying is basically they should collect evidence but not post it unless they got reported.
Yeah, definitely.
That's an interesting idea, I guess. I'm just saying that if you went through the process of actually collecting evidence, you have to save that evidence somewhere. Right? You can't just keep it in your clipboard all the time. You can't just copy it and then just keep it there for months until the player reports you.
No. There's ways and means of collecting evidence now. You've got shadow play, you've got screenshots.
Yeah. No, I get that, but all of that requires disk space, and it requires a logistics of where you're gonna put it. Okay, so if you're doing it anyway, why not just put it in the evidence folder where they all can see why they were punished? And so there's no argument. So and then another thing on our server, on our community, we have a policy saying that if an admin gets reported, that reported admin can't review the report against them because they could be biased. So we get another admin, a third-party admin, to review that. So they need to be like filled in on what happened. So they need to objectively look at the evidence, see if the evidence meets the burden. If it does, stays banned. If it doesn't, released. That's simple.
What? So you're saying on every ban that person does, every jail, every kick?
Well, I mean, how difficult it is to collect evidence, like you said.
I mean, it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was an admin on BRP, I had shadow play on all the time.
Yeah, it's very easy. Just
all the time I had shadow play on them. Obviously, when I
you can even record in low quality and then it'll save in very small sizes, and you can just easily upload those in seconds.
It's not hard to gather the evidence. You know, you've got Google Drive, you've got Dropbox. You know, you don't have to use up your own disk space.
Yep. But no. Even with Google Drive, that there's limited space, and it's your personal space that you're using to save evidence. There's no need for that. Just like if you have a video, upload it to YouTube, send a link in the evidence. Very easy.
Yeah.
Okay, like you see, the thing is, we have this complicated form right now, but we are trying to simplify it. Not the form itself, but the process. And the way we're doing it is we're developing a bot right now that will allow you to just type one command, paste the evidence, boom, it will fill everything in, it will calculate the punishment. It will be very simple for the admin. The bot will decide the length of the punishment based on how many punishments they've had in the past.
Wait, the bot? Wait, what?
So, okay, the idea is you type a simple command when you feel like somebody has broken a rule.
Yeah.
And the punishment is issued, and the length of the punishment is dependent exclusively on how many punishments they were guilty of in the past. Nothing else, not the reputation, nothing like that.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, past offences is a bit much. See, because what happened if you had past offences from 4 years ago? And you're a completely different person now. You've had the past.
Oh, no. We don't judge for 4 years ago. No. We judge by past offenses. So serious offenses are judged by the past serious offenses in the past year.
Right.
Mild offenses are judged by the past mild offenses in the past month. Right. So if something happened after a year, you're pretty much a new person.
Yeah.
That's simple.
The way I look at it, as long as a conversation can be happening where justifications were given on both sides.
Yeah, that conversation.
Then we
I'll let you finish.
We'll work towards a better understanding of what unrealistic roleplay is and how it's portrayed. Well, roleplay in general, how roleplay is portrayed.
My problem is there's no rule that defines it well enough, and what admins end up doing, they just end up enforcing what they at the time interpret as the right thing, and the person on the other end, they had no way. They had absolutely no way to agree to that. They had no way to agree to that enforcement of rules. That's my problem.
The thing is, at this point in time, it'll take too long to set up, and people are stuck in their own ways. If it was a brand new, situation, a new server, a new whatever, a new community, then yeah.
So you think a new community, a new server could potentially implement the
Yeah.
system?
Definitely. You can't change the way shit's been operating for years.
Okay.
With like all these other old servers. I'm not even talking about LSRP specifically. I'm talking about them all. Like they've operated that way for years, and that's the way they're going to operate. And no amount of discussion is going to change that. So the way it would have to work would have to be in a new community, a new
Alright.
server.
This is an interesting idea. I very much enjoyed the discussion with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I've taken up like a lot of time.
We were meant to end this whole podcast like 30 minutes ago. But thank you so much for coming. I very much appreciate your perspective. Did you learn anything from the discussion? Well, what do you think about the whole system? Like, it could work out. Do you think that it could work out?
But to summarize it, the system's flawed.
The system that is right now, or the one that?
No, the way the system's currently operating is flawed in the sense of what admin says, admin goes.
Yeah, that's. I've had a problem that I couldn't reach admins at all after some point because you're just annoyed they don't want to talk to me anymore. They have the full consent. I can't hold them accountable at all.
Yeah.
It's up to the admins to do it. So the way it works here, I've actually been punished myself for harassing somebody because I was, mean while I was drinking the alcohol during that one interview. Because nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect, and those should be applied equally against everybody. And that's my opinion. Do you agree with that?
No, I agree. No one's perfect.
Yeah.
And stuff needs to be decided on an individual basis.
Yeah.
Not as a general.
Definitely. I want to thank you so much for coming. Thank you for giving me actually good points to debate.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Liquid Hound, I took up all your time. I didn't mean to, man.
Yeah. A lot of people wanted Liquid Hound, so I'm going to get him on at this point. Thank you so much for coming. Have a good day.
All right. And you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah. All right, let's get Liquid Hound in, because I wanted to end it by now, but a lot of people want me to get Liquid Hound. They say he has a lot of good things to say. Every time somebody says that, it means a lot of different things. So I'll just have to see what he has to say. Hello. Hello, Liquid Hound. How are you doing?
Hello, give me a second, please.
Yeah.
Okay, hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. And you?
I'm doing okay. I was told that you had some stories to share about unrealistic roleplay. Like, have you been punished for unrealistic roleplay, something like that?
I've witnessed unrealistic roleplay because I've led actual factions.
Okay.
I've led an official faction on RCRP. I've been high command in an official faction on RCRP.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been leading factions for as long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
So I've witnessed a lot of stuff.
This is interesting. Okay. So what would you do? How would you define unrealistic? Imagine you have the ability to make a rule in.
Come again, you're lagging a little bit.
If you had the ability to make a rule against unrealistic roleplay, how would you make that rule?
Against unrealistic roleplay.
Yeah, make it.
First things first. If someone is criticizing you and blaming you for unrealistic roleplay, someone already mentioned this, but the character stories and the faction threads where someone documents the character development, you can always show that, which is the showcase of what your character has been through.
I guess I'm asking more about admins acting. Like, I'm talking about when admins actually punish people for unrealistic roleplay, you know what I mean?
Alright, yes. Many admins can blatantly, take the decision and call it out as unrealistic, but some characters may have the psychology and the mentality and the development required to move to an action.
Mm-hmm.
So the defendant, which would be the player, can always fish up screenshots that will prove that he actually has the frame of mind required to proceed to an action.
Yeah, so what you're saying is if an admin can look at the facts that actually led up the character to making the decisions, and the person has the ability to explain it, and the admins are forced to look at it to make their judgment, then you know, that's how we can define unrealistic roleplay. I like that because when you probably heard the story because I say it like all the time. It's my like default example. It's what kind of spurred out this whole roleplay union thing. When I got punished for allegedly unrealistically, or you know, the official reason what I was punished for was seeking reasons to DM. Have you heard about that?
Oh, because you defended the police officer.
Oh, not the police officer. That was another situation. I shot a person stabbing another person in public.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
yes,
that
I'm
situation.
aware of that situation.
Yeah, they said they had a lot of things to say that were completely blatantly not true, and I could prove that they were not true, but nobody gave me the opportunity to do that. I could prove my character's motives. I could prove that my character was not just randomly riding around, but they had a purpose, why they were there. Nobody cared. It's just blatant as this. Nobody cares. And when they issue punishments, sometimes these punishments are lengthy. Like, I hear some of the arguments like, oh, it's just a 15-minute jail. No. The admin jail means I can't apply to a PD faction or any government factions for the next month. So that's a serious punishment. As well as it impacts any future punishments that I may receive, falsely or not.
It is. And it is unfair, because I do believe that characters like yours can find the motive to do what you did. However, in communities like LSRP and RCRP, it is very unlikely to find someone who will actually roleplay what you did.
That's understandable, absolutely. But at the same time, that does not justify why we should be punishing people without evidence that they are actually breaking the rules, in my opinion.
Yes.
So, do you agree that a community like LSRP should, you know, or for community to even make sense, they shouldn't be punishing people with like serious punishments unless they can actually prove that they actually, you know, commit those offenses?
When you are posting your ban appeal, you are guilty until you can prove that you're innocent, basically.
Yep. That's how it works pretty much everywhere.
Yes. And basically, all they have to do is hear you out even for 5 minutes, and then they can judge.
Yeah,
and if a situation is so complicated, then they can always, like, you know, they can always take a second opinion or a third opinion, because it's not one admin, it's more admins.
Yeah. And there's no way. Have you ever seen an admin getting punished for punishing somebody and not posting any of it? I mean, that's not a thing that happens. Obviously, because it's not like even a standard that any community has set so far. But do you think do you have one?
Way back in the day, though.
Oh, well.
Way back in the day. I have seen admins get punished because they are corrupt. And I have seen admins get exposed for bias actions.
Admins getting punished when they're corrupt, when they're blatantly corrupt, like fucking selling, I'm sorry for swearing, like selling illegal weapons for real life currency. That's obviously... obviously they're gonna get punished for that.
That's one of the biggest things happening. Yeah.
But I'm talking about just changing the standard that there is right now. Right now there is no precedence for admins to post evidence. Do you think a community could be there? Would you play in a community which would only punish you unless if they can prove that you have, you know...
So you're saying that if someone has lack of proof against you, you get to walk free?
Here's how it works. If you look at the rules that we have on a Discord...
Yeah.
I did
throw a quick eye on it. I did look at them quick.
Have a look at part 2, section 2, part 2, and C. Basically 2.2C. 2.2C.
2.2C.
Yeah. What does that say? What does that say to you? I want to
So it's part 3? Part 3, careless behavior?
Part 2. Section 2, part 2. C.
And C, punishment without sufficient evidence.
Yeah.
Give me a minute to read this. Right. I have seen something similar, though.
You have seen something similar in other communities?
Kind of. Well, if you are being banned by an admin, punished, you have the right to request the admin to post the evidence that led to him taking this decision.
Where did you see that? I've never seen that.
I think, I'm not sure, don't take my word for it, but I think I've seen this happen on RCRP before.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure if the evidence was directly shown to the person or was directly shown to someone, like, you know, on the core of server management.
This is
I'm
pretty
not sure
cool.
about it.
Yeah, if this is true, that's pretty cool. I partly believe it because, you know, Red Country Roleplay, we've had Tommy B on this interview. He talked about how, you know, he's trying to take it very seriously, he's trying to take it seriously, but they don't really take it to all the extreme that I'm trying to take
They
it.
are. Well, if you want my opinion, I am a faction consultant on RCRP right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and I can see that a lot of the server staff is putting a lot of hard work and effort on it. They are working on it.
That's really good, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you can probably learn something.
Yeah. And yeah, they are providing a lot of support on factions. There is constant support on factions.
Okay.
Pretty much. I'm not gonna
But,
go
but
ahead.
we're focusing more on just the rules. So the idea of this community is if an admin sees something that they believe to be rule breaking,
Yeah.
they can issue a punishment immediately. Okay. But then they have 48 hours to prove. By the way, the punishment is already predetermined. They just type command/punish, and the bot will look at, you know, depending on the first the bot will look at whether they're getting accused of a serious offense or a mild offense. If it's a mild offense, it'll look for the past week whether they had any other mild offenses. So
I
if
see.
you,
I
yeah.
get the picture. I get the picture of what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
But I do believe that this is going to take a big bite of the time that the administrators actually have.
You would think that, but all they have to do is type/punish, and then within 48 hours decide if they have enough evidence to prove that they were.
If you break down this time, right, you've got 16 hours within 2 days to fulfill your need of sleep. Say the person works as well, that's 32 hours on 48 hours.
Yeah, so they have
So
how
what
many?
I'm saying is-
16 hours to prove that, to get the evidence. They have a choice. They don't have to get the evidence.
Sometimes it's just not possible to do that. Because
I know. That's why they have a choice. Okay, let me explain the choice.
I have another offer.
Hold on, let me
you
first.
may like better.
Let me first explain the choice. The choice is within 48 hours they can either submit the evidence proving that what the punishment was is legitimate. They have enough evidence to prove it, or they can go back on the punishment, void the punishment. And if they don't do either of those, then the player can report them, and they will be guilty of a mild offense, which is a formal warning the first time. And if they had previous like 4 mild offenses in the past week, then they could actually get demoted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the idea that we have. But what was your idea?
My idea was something that actually happens. If you get banned, you can always post a ban appeal.
Yeah.
Where you can ask for evidence. Now, I'm not gonna go ahead and 100% say that you're gonna get it, but as long as people see that you're putting effort into your ban appeal, and as long as, you know, you put in the right amount of time, then it makes the administrator's time worth it as well.
So you're saying as long as you have a good reputation?
No, as long as you put in effort. Like if you go on a ban appeal,
How do you decide if somebody puts in effort?
you can see and judge by yourself.
So again, we're going back to the judgment made by an admin. So it's up to an admin. It's up to the admin if they want to post the evidence or not. Is what you're saying.
It's not hard to figure out if someone has put effort.
I'm asking you a yes or no
Go on your ban
question.
appeal.
I'm asking you a yes or no question. In your system, is it up to the admin whether they post the evidence or not?
I'm not sure. I can't answer this question because.
So why not make it mandatory for them to post evidence? What would be the drawback of making it mandatory for them to post evidence that they have against somebody?
I don't know. I guess it would just take, what, 10 to 20 minutes?
Why would it take 20 to 20 minutes?
I don't know. Just saying that you have, you know, to dig in and just bring up the evidence, but...
Or you could just, or when you ban somebody within 40 hours, you could just post the evidence. If you have it.
Yes.
If you don't, you just unban the person or unpunish them.
Post them where though?
Post them
Post them
in
where?
public. In a public.
Okay.
We have a public channel called Evidence. You can have a look at it yourself. Do you see it? Evidence channel.
Evidence channel?
Yeah.
Yes, I see.
Yeah, and all of the punishments have their own evidences.
Yeah.
With the only exception being sensitive evidence when somebody like used somebody's likeness, but we only had one instance of that out of all of the situations.
However, a punishment may vary from a simple 10-minute admin jail all the way to a permaban.
Oh, we don't even do admin. I don't. If I'm gonna make a server, I'm not gonna do admin just because I don't see the point in them. I would only do formal warnings and bans, temporary bans.
However, you did ban that Patsan guy for expressing his opinion.
Who did I ban?
That Patsan guy, I don't remember. I just saw that.
But
Anyways.
he was disturbing the event. That's why I banned him.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
It's a serious offense to
Anyways,
disturb the event.
So back to the topic on unrealistic roleplay.
Yeah.
There are grey linings all over, but you can easily cover them if your character has had the appropriate development.
No, you can cover them if you have good reputation and you are liked by the people. If the administration sees and cares about your development, that's when you can cover them.
Okay,
Not
so
not
let me bring up
yeah.
Should I bring up an example about something?
Sure.
Something that you mentioned, robbing
Sure.
in public.
Sure, just don't mention any names.
I won't.
Yeah.
Do not worry about it.
Okay.
I'll just bring up the example you did with robbery with an assault rifle, yeah?
Well, I didn't rob anybody with an assault rifle, but okay. Okay, well, I did rob somebody with an assault rifle like a long time ago, but yeah, whatever.
You mentioned it on the stream as a question, like if it would be realistic to rob someone with an assault
Yeah,
rifle.
no, well, I'm trying to determine, like, how do you define unrealistic roleplay? That's the topic.
On
But
an
yeah.
SRP, what there is for robberies is your character must have a motive to do it, which means he needs the money for XYZ reasons. Say he's going through withdrawal. Therefore, your character will be poor and not have the funds to actually buy an assault rifle. That's one.
Yep.
Now, say, however, that during a faction argument, you have to withdraw your gun, and you are in a situation where you're pointing your guns at another faction. Technically, you can use your assault rifle to take the guns off your enemy, which is basically a robbery with an assault rifle, but it is realistic.
Wait, hold on. Your example is kind of confusing. Your character has an in-character encounter with a rivaling illegal organization. They pulled out guns on you, right? Is that what you said?
You pull out the guns.
Okay.
And you use the fear to take the guns away from them.
So you basically, in the middle of an encounter, you pull out an AK and rob them.
Yes, you can technically rob them because you're not looking to rob them, more like disarm them. But you use it as the means of doing it.
Okay, but what's the problem with that? Is that considered unrealistic?
No, that's not unrealistic. However, if you go in the broad daylight and
what if it's broad daylight, but if it's in the alleyway?
Yeah, if it's an alleyway and you just happen, I don't know, man. Stuff happens. If you happen to have an AK on you somehow.
We're talking about a very big gray area here.
Yeah, it is a very big gray area.
And
But
that's my problem.
covered.
That's my problem with it, because some people, you know, admins, friends, and whatnot, they'll be able to do anything they want. I've seen motorcycle clubs that have admin members in them. They got fragmentation grenades, they own planes. But I am not able to create a faction because, you see, my faction is unrealistic. A faction that's based about human trafficking, kidnapping people, that are famous, that are celebrities, that don't invest a lot of money into protection, that's unrealistic. How is that fair? That an admin and admin's friends get to do that, but I don't get to run my own faction because apparently my faction is more unrealistic than their faction with motorcycle clubs and grenades. That doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Well, I can't see any reason, but however, I can try to bring up a reason for it. If it's an admin that runs it, it is considered a reliable person and a responsible one as well. So
we're treating them differently. We're giving them a special treatment.
It's not special treatment.
What do you mean it's not special treatment when you're treating one person differently than another person? That's literally the definition of special treatment.
It isn't special treatment. It
Why?
somehow is that if it's an admin leading an XYZ faction, he is more reliable as a person
Okay.
and unlikely to proceed to, rule breaking and stuff like that.
Okay.
But if you give any player the freedom to start, say, an agency which takes hits in exchange for cash, there is a 95% chance that within a week you're going to be seeing reports against XYZ person for
Yeah,
deathmatch.
but that's the point.
Yes.
If we can look at the reports for deathmatching and we can prove that they have broken those rules, we can punish those people. We can punish those players and stop them punishing them. You don't know a person's
But
intent
the damage has already
until
been done.
it will always already be done. You cannot know somebody's intent. What difference does it make if they organize in character-wise or out of character-wise? I would even argue that if you don't let them organize in character-wise, they're just gonna organize out of character-wise and do the same thing.
Yes.
So
Well-
what's the problem?
I believe that admins should look into preventing something like that as
Yeah.
much as punishing something
I
like
think the
that.
best way to prevent something is to have specific, descriptive rules that are consistently enforced by admins. What you have on LSRP right now is admins are not enforcing the rules that are written down. They're enforcing their belief of what is right and what is wrong, and that's just the system that they have in place. It's not admins being corrupt. It's them being told you have to do the right thing. Basically, it's too
Well,
vague, and
You
what
were
is up.
talking about your faction over there, so what I have to say, I can speak for a fact about RCRP over here. There are admins that spectate your action
Yeah,
occasionally as a faction. And there is
Sure.
constant feedback that faction leaders get, either by their faction consultants and faction management in its entirety, or by admins themselves. It can happen. You can get feedback. And
yeah.
sometimes you may not be breaking a rule, but you may do something that is not in the standards that your faction has set.
Okay. Well, how?
Now-
Okay, let's add this up. Sorry. So did you have something more to say?
Kinda.
Yeah. Sorry. I'll let you finish. My bad. I'm sorry.
This may sound like a joke, but it's not a joke. A lot of people mentioned the Belgorodskaya OPG earlier on. I am the actual leader of it. Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
And they accused you of mass death matching. How does that feel?
No, they were my members, and they were kind of trying to, shout out the faction and make it look good. So I'm not gonna hold any grudges against my own members. But in my previous faction, some guy mentioned the name and you kicked him off. I'm not gonna name. I'm just gonna state it's NLR. It used to be official. There was a scene where we had to wipe out two factions altogether in 10 minutes or 15 minutes.
And
That
it looked
wasn't
that I
unrealistic.
imagine that looked bad, but yeah, there are situations in which
You actually saw the picture. It was the car with a drive-by with an AK.
Yeah.
That day it was around 20 to 25 players that got killed.
yeah. Well, let me show you. I've had a situation myself where I think I'm gonna have to wrap this interview up. 1 second. Give me a minute, okay?
Yes. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Sorry. I'm really sorry about that. Okay, I'm back.
Okay, did you close the stream off?
No, not yet. I'm gonna end the stream soon, though. I think
You mind if I'm
let's
smoking while we're talking?
okay. I'm gonna end the stream in like 2 minutes. Can you hold on for 2 minutes? I just want your final opinion. How do you define unrealistic roleplay in the rules? Like, imagine you have the right to make a rule against unrealistic roleplay. How do
Right.
you define it? I'll give you
Right.
access to interview room, so you can write it down. You already have it. There you go. So you
Right,
can.
I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna pronounce it now, and then we can both print out a rule that you will like, and I will agree on, and you can keep it in your record. How does that sound?
Well, I'm just looking for people's opinions. I myself have tried to come up with a definition
Alright,
for
let's go with this.
unrealistical.
Unrealistic roleplay is when a character proceeds to an action that is not realistically justified, and neither does he have the necessary development covered to proceed in such an action.
Okay. And so this allows, so if a person gets accused of it, this is a vague rule though. We need to acknowledge that there's a vague rule, so we can't punish person with bans for it, because it's vague. Because it's vague, innocent people are going to be caught up in that rule as well. There needs to be some kind of a system.
It is vague,
Yeah.
just like metagaming is vague.
Metagaming is not vague. Metagaming is not vague. Metagaming is not vague. Metagaming is mixing in character-wise and out-of-character-wise information. That's very descriptive.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay,
unrealistic
so
roleplay
if we're
is...
gonna go into detail, we're going to look to cover up the biggest gray line possible, because the gray area.
The way I did it now is I didn't include an unrealistic roleplay as a rule itself. I have a non-roleplay section, and have you seen the ones that... There's a link in the interview room right now, in the docs.
The roleplay section.
In the in-game rules, RPU in-game rules, yeah.
In-game rules.
Yeah, and I have a section in mild offenses called non-roleplay. That's the closest I got to unrealistic roleplay. And it includes things like power gaming, metagaming, failure to roleplay fear, which I call failure to value character life.
Well, non-RP can be you getting shot at and not realizing ever that you're bleeding, and script-wisely the bleeding may stop, but you will never roleplay that.
I'll be honest, I never liked the script for bleeding.
But also it can be non-roleplay for a character to just spawn instantly on the server and start acting like he's a mafia boss.
Why wouldn't it be? Well, maybe he roleplayed traveling there.
What is that character's backstory, and what is his development?
Yeah, but maybe their development justifies it.
Okay.
You immediately assume that a new player can't roleplay a mob boss. Why?
Come again? I immediately assumed what?
That a new player cannot roleplay a mob boss. Why is that?
Is there a mob behind him?
Well, maybe there is, but it's not in this area. Maybe it's in another area.
Has the character actually got any development behind it? Because...
So you're saying every character needs...
I'm saying that you cannot use your own background story.
Why not?
To get perks in-game.
What do you mean perks? What do you mean by perks?
Okay, I'm just gonna go with the common term. You can't ass-pull any excuse in your background story to justify an action.
I think I know what you mean. So, for example, you're getting robbed and you have a safe and you're like, the robbers are like, oh, I know lockpicking, right? That's the ass-pulling you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I have an idea for that, and I think you'll like it. When you make a character, you can select a list of skills that your character has, and you can change them, but when you change them, they only go into effect after 12 hours, so you can't abuse them at the moment.
Whether you believe it or not, in my previous factions, I have allowed my members to have some sort of trait, but I have kept a close eye on it.
Yeah.
And I told them that if they drop the trait and they don't use it, I will not allow them to ass-pull it at any time before.
Yeah.
So, a character on the common day, these days, nowadays, standards, cannot directly spawn and like get a gun and act like he's like some paid killer.
Why not?
Most communities would... I'm just saying what most communities would expect.
Okay.
I'm not talking about myself. So most communities would expect that he has some development before that. But my method is called the odd man out. Out of 7 people you can pick on the street randomly, 1 may know how to handle a gun.
I disagree with you, because maybe one of them would have experience handling a gun.
Yes.
But using a gun is not complicated. It's not something that you need a long time to study. You see somebody use a gun, you get the general premise. You grip the... Hold on. Give me a sec. So... Okay. So you have the grip, then you have the trigger, You just point it in the direction of the thing you want to shoot. You pull the trigger. You might not know how to use the iron sights. You might not know how to reload it. You might not know how to field strip it, but you're gonna know how to use it. Even though you had no training with it. You might not know how to handle recoil. Your recoil's gonna go all over the place, but it's still gonna, be something that everybody's gonna be able to do.
Okay, perhaps then that the gun using was not a good example, but say lockpicking again.
Yeah, okay, that's a good
One
example.
out of 10 characters that you may pick out of the random may be able to lockpick.
Yeah, but again,
So
that's my
I will allow
idea.
it.
That's my idea.
I will allow it.
That's my idea.
Well,
So you
sorry
can
to
you can
say,
make
but-
you can make a list of things that your character is able to do that an ordinary person is not expected to do.
Yeah. For example, one character in my faction right now is role playing being an experienced burglar,
Mm-hmm.
and I allowed him to do that as long as he stays active on the topic. Like as long as he keeps going and breaking in the houses, I will allow him to keep the trait of being able to like lockpick a door, for example. But the moment he drops it, he doesn't have the right.
But why restrict him like that? Why do you want to restrict him like that?
Because this isn't like riding a motorcycle, a bike. It is something that you shouldn't let it be on the shelf. You need to stay active on it.
Why?
Because otherwise you're gonna grow dusty on it. It's only
Oh. Oh,
human for someone
okay.
to forget how to do it.
Okay.
So these are the terms that I bring to make sure that the roleplay we provide is realistic.
Okay,
Constantly.
that's a
We
real
allow
example.
someone-
I appreciate it. It's a real example of how you are offering people to have these specialities. And I think these specialities are actually what makes characters, in my opinion. I think it's
they are
silly.
what
I think it's silly to force every character to conform to stereotypes like what LSRP is doing. It's dumb. It's killing the point of roleplay, in my opinion. But how do you enforce it on a larger scale? Because you can't make everybody. I guess you could try make everybody. You can try.
twist it in unrealistic roleplay if you are enforcing it, but you cannot easily define it.
Yeah.
You can't avoid writing a lot of paragraphs based on it, because it took us 10 to 15 minutes in this conversation to pinpoint a good example. Yes.
We didn't even pinpoint a good example still. What I want your opinion about my idea that people are able, when they make a character, to write a small list of skills or traits that their characters are capable of. And they can change it, but when they change it, it only goes into effect after a certain significant amount of time, like 12 hours, maybe more. We can change that, it doesn't matter. What do you think about that idea? Will that prevent ass pulling? Because at that point, if for example, imagine they can show those skills. They can show those skills to other players.
That's something that you are going to develop on your character story. And if you get banned, if anyone says that you are power gaming because your character has no intelligence on how to lockpick, well, then you can easily pull the character story, link it in your ban appeal, and boom.
Who's gonna read it?
The administrator.
No, they don't care. There's nobody mandating them.
Care. I don't know if you're talking about LSRP, but RCRP admins do care, and they will.
It's great that they care. Okay, fine. Let me rephrase. It's great that they care. What rule is mandating them to do it?
There is no rule.
Yes,
I think.
that's the point.
But you can't.
If they stop caring all of a sudden, there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, I don't.
What I'm suggesting is a script. It's a script that you type a few traits in game that your character has, and then you can, when you're all playing lockpicking and you get accused of power gaming, you can just show that skill to other players. Show that you have selected that as your skill a long time ago, at least significant amount of time ago, so that it's not just an ass pulling. So what do you think about that idea?
That sounds really MMORPG style.
It's not any predetermined set of... Well, again, MMORPG, that stands for multi... what's it called? Massive multiplayer online role-playing game. It's still a role-playing game. But I get what you mean. But we're not giving them a selection. No, we're not giving them a selection of limited skills that are giving arbitrary boosts in points. No, that's not what we're... That's not what we're giving. That's not... No. What we're giving is... a selection that you can prove. It's a proof. It's evidence. That's the point. You can show to other players that your character has those skills. That's the idea.
So what you're suggesting is when you're making your character, you can write in a list in a chat box the trait or traits
Yes.
that your character may have. Okay, good. I completely agree with this. This can be good. However, I'm just gonna list a couple plot holes here.
I do want to hear
Your
them.
character can pick up other traits. He can.
Like I said, you can change them. When you change them, they apply after a significant amount of time, so that you can change them in the middle.
You, however, restrict, because it needs to be controlled and restricted, because anyone can go for a trait which is OP, which is overpowered.
So what would you define an overpowered trait?
Okay, the ability to snipe, let's say.
What's the ability to snipe? Just being extreme.
Snipe, like using a sniper rifle.
Yeah, okay. So you're
no
saying why would that be an overpowered trait? You're just very accurate. Were you just very, what's it called? Perceptive? No, not perceptive, but you're just very accurate with a sniper rifle. If you go hunting often, if you go to a shooting range, you can get that skill.
But you have to roleplay that.
Why?
Have to roleplay
Why?
that in order to get that.
Why?
Because.
Why do you have to spend a lot of time doing something that you've already done on maybe other roleplay communities?
While others may dedicate the time to passive roleplay and go hunting, you are just pulling it out of nowhere, saying that in your background, your character was an expert at using a sniper.
You're not pulling it out of nowhere, you're making your character story. And when you make a character, everything that led up to your character at this moment affects them. So I don't get where you're coming from when you're saying, oh, you're just pulling it out of nowhere. No, it's in the character story, it impacts you. Yes, maybe you didn't invest hours and hours role-playing that, or maybe you role-played in other listen, let me finish. Maybe you role-played in other communities, but that doesn't matter in my opinion. Your character has that skill. And everybody, it's fair because everybody can choose a small list of skills, let's say five skills that they can choose. And if a character wants to use one of those skills to be being very accurate with a sniper rifle, first of all, that would be silly to put on there, because in the realms of a roleplay server, that would, I guess the only way that would be, here's how I imagine it happening. So I make a character who used to go hunting a lot, so I put in skills, good at sniper rifle. Boom. Eventually, my character runs into some financial trouble, he gets involved with an illegal organization, and the illegal organization wants to know, what are your skills? And my character goes, I'm good at the sniper rifle. So, the illegal organization gives him a
sniper rifle?
Yeah, sure. They drive them out to the forest, they set up some targets at range, not like script-wise, but like they roleplay doing it, and then, you roleplay sniping accurately, and then you can show your skill that you have selected when you made the character that you had that. So what's being pulled out the ass? I don't get it.
I'm not gonna disagree with it. I'm gonna give you a reply on what you just said. Nowadays, a faction will only take you in if you have actually dedicated the time to develop your character from zero, or let's say that a faction would appreciate it more if your character didn't know how to snipe, but dedicated the time to learn how to snipe. That would be way more appreciated than the faction, and I believe that it would be way better for you as a player, because you get to enjoy it, bond with your character. And I remember that you were making a run.
This is an interesting one. What do you mean by from zero?
Okay, so say you're picking up your character, yes? And you are developing him from his teens.
Why can't I start a character in the middle of my 30s?
You can. I'm not saying you can.
Okay.
I'm just suggesting a course of action. Say you pick him at the age of 17, and when your character turns 21, he starts actively going hunting. And you develop some time into your character's hobby, and you get to A, bond with your character, B, you get to do something, which means you're not standing around.
But why are limiting? The thing is, we're talking from the perspective of a governing agency that is limiting what people can do. So what you're saying is, if I just want to join in for a couple of, okay, you can smoke, I'll give you permission. If I just want to join in and play a game
For 2 hours because you don't have time to develop. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I can roleplay properly. I can follow the rules, and I know my character story. I didn't.
This can be judged easily by seeing on the level of detail that you put on your roleplay.
I don't have the time to put in all of that evidence, and other people might not see that.
Okay,
Especially if they don't have to.
So you're saying that it should be easier for people to pick up a trait?
It should be easier to people to play the goddamn game. Yes.
It is.
It's not. It's not. You have to file all kinds of bureaucracy nonsense, do reports, and that's not enough. That does not guarantee that you will be able to prove that your character is capable of certain very basic things. And you have to battle people's perceptions out of character-wise when all you're trying to do is roleplay and development character-wise. That's my problem. Why are we limiting characters? What do you mean there's no... You just labeled all kinds of limitations. You're saying that you can't join a faction unless you list all kinds... Actually, roleplay your character, developing it again. What if they already did it on another roleplay server?
I didn't say you're not gonna get accepted.
You said that's what you said, actually. That's actually what you said.
I think if you take back your stream, you're gonna figure otherwise, because I said that the faction would appreciate it more. I didn't say you're gonna get denied. And I said that's what nowadays standards are.
Okay, let's go back. We're not talking about from the perspective of the faction. Okay, I think that's the disconnect here. Factions, they can let people in and out on in-character, out-of-character basis, that's fine. We're talking about the roleplay servers as a whole, which punish people for unrealistic roleplay. That's the thing that I'm talking about.
So we're looking, what you said is, we're looking into how we can add traits to a character without having to spend so much time on it.
We're looking for a way to allow people to prove that their characters had that traits before they came into that situation. That they didn't just make up those traits, that's it. We're not proving that they've spent hours and hours and hours of real life time. We're just proving that their characters spent hours and hours and hours of their time. Why do we have to waste in their lifetime for something that's not necessary?
I understand what you're saying, and personally as a faction leader, I allow it in my faction, but as long as it's balanced by the player himself. Like, as long as he's good at doing something, but he's not perfect at it, that's one.
Okay.
And as long as it is something that, it's something that people can actually have like the trait. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, someone may be especially...
What do you mean by balanced, though?
Balanced, well. You can bring 2, 3, say 4 traits to the table, but you can't bring 15.
Yeah, well, okay, that's fine. We have 5 lists of traits.
Yes.
Boom. That's it. And why not make it a script-wise thing? Why not make it a script that you make a new character, you can select the traits, you can change those traits, and the changes only apply after 12 hours, so that you can't as-pull them. The whole purpose of the trait system that I just came up with, I guess I should change the text.
So that an admin
could be able to look and see that your character is capable of these things.
Yes. Well, this is already happening, because if you get the chance to defend yourself in a ban appeal or
If you get the chance to defend yourself.
Well, you're gonna be writing your ban appeal, and you can add your details in the bottom lines, so you can just link in your character story. I haven't personally met any admin that isn't going to at least give you the chance to say what you have to say. Personally, on RCRP, on LSRP, I haven't been banned. I haven't been punished at all. But yeah, I haven't met an admin because I have been reading ban appeals reports. I stay updated with all of that as a faction leader.
Yeah.
You have to know people. But I haven't seen admins deny you. Unless you've been like a pain in the butt and you've been causing a lot of trouble just because you got banned.
Yeah, like trouble like reporting the admin. That's something that annoys the admin a lot.
If you go get banned and you post a ban appeal once, you state all your facts, but in the bottom of the line, you are actually on the wrong side. You are indeed guilty, and the admin indeed sees through and punishes you.
and doesn't unban you, but the player then proceeds to make an admin complaint, call him corrupt, go on big amounts, like
Yeah.
places where there is a big population of the player base, start accusing him there, and then after like 2 days you make another ban appeal and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Well, I don't think that the admin is going to actually, be that keen into doing
Yeah.
his duty.
Yeah. That's absolutely the truth.
It's not
Admins, if they're not held accountable, they will act however they like. And that means punishing players who criticize them. Do you think people should not be able to criticize admins?
I think people are able to criticize admins. There are threads where you can throw in your criticism. There
Yeah.
are threads where you can throw in compliments for the admins.
Mm-hmm.
But an admin will never have a biased opinion against you and punish you for it.
That's nonsense.
Unless you... No, that's not nonsense. An admin...
Everybody has a biased opinion. We're all human beings.
Yeah, but I'm saying that it will never affect a complaint or a ban appeal.
Of course it will. Like, what is stopping it from affecting it?
What is?
What
Well,
is stopping them from affecting...
An admin may act on his own. He may take his own decisions. But how long will that be until A, the community notices it, and B, the management?
All admins act on their own and make their own decisions.
Yeah, they do. They do. But
So what's bad about that? There's nothing bad
is
about
bad
that. Yeah,
that.
I'll get your point.
But what I'm saying is that nobody will have his biased opinion affect him to the point where he won't be able to judge clearly. They all have clear judgment, and they all speak according to the facts they have.
I disagree with you. You're generalizing way too much. You're saying all admins in this particular community have clear judgment, don't make mistakes, don't make biased judgments. That's what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying.
I think you're putting too much faith in human nature in general.
No,
Humans...
I'm putting too much faith on the community I am playing.
Yeah, I get that, but there's just so much you can put faith into people before you need to hold them accountable for their actions.
A lot of people have tried to hold admins accountable for their actions, and a lot of people have tried to file complaints against them. However, there is always, almost always, evidence that the admin was not judging based on his bias. He may give you a short reply, he may look mean in his reply, but I don't think that he is ever going to make a clouded opinion, a clouded judgment. They will always state facts, and if it attracts too much attention,
even at the
management
time,
is going to read over it, and they're going to ask the admin, why did you do it? And the admin is going to just simply show the facts,
Okay.
the evidence.
I want to give you an example of a situation. I was supposed to end this goddamn stream 1 hour and 20 minutes ago, but I want to give you an example. Imagine you're an admin. Have you been an admin?
No,
Okay.
but I'm not going to say to decline an offer of becoming one.
Okay, so imagine you've... Why not?
I'm never going to decline it. I will take up the duty. I think.
Okay, you think you are capable of being an admin. Okay, imagine you're an admin, you're receiving a warning that one person is killing a lot of people.
Yes.
Choose what do you do now. Okay, this is a text adventure basically. You tell me what your decision is, I'll tell you the circumstances of your decision.
I would do the same thing an admin has done in the past. And I have seen it happen. And I have seen the whole situation and what the admin
Okay,
did.
so you just mind your own business, then all of a sudden you see a bunch of admin warnings saying that
Yeah, you
one
see
person is killing a bunch of
being
people.
flooded. Yeah, I
Yes.
see. So, first
Your
thing first,
actions.
what you're going to do is you're going to spectate. Spectate the situation.
Okay, here's the
Then
spectate.
you're
Here's
going-
the spectate. Hold on. Before I let you go on, I'm gonna give you
Yeah,
as you choose. You make one choice. I'll give you the response. You spectate. It's a black woman with a Colt 45. She's shooting a bunch of people who are entering a building, and there's a bunch of other people in the building as well. So they're all like just kind of they're entering a building, and she's immediately shooting everybody that's coming in. Okay.
Yeah. If it's random people, because as an admin, you will be on the server for a long time. So you do know the factions, you do know what's happening.
You don't recognize any of the people.
So I don't recognize any.
You don't recognize anybody.
Alright, I spectate the situation. Because that's you can't act on blind
Yeah.
judgment.
See,
So
again,
you have
here's
to
the
spectate and
situation.
see how it ends.
The woman is shooting everybody that's entering the building. Everybody that's entering the building, she's
You're going
shooting.
to check if there are any reports on /reports. There is this command on RCRP.
There's
so
a
you
bunch
have
of
to
reports
check
of people who died saying they got DM'd, just saying DM, and nothing
Right.
else.
I will PM the doer and I will ask him why are you killing them.
Okay. So see,
So-
you there did more than what happened in my situation. Let's finish this narrative, okay? So
I'll
this,
take it as a compliment.
yeah. Let me finish this. Let me finish this narrative, okay?
Yeah.
You PM this person. You ask why are you killing all these people. The person explains. They shot the door down with a shotgun and they're busting in.
Self-defense then.
Yeah, that's what the person
Right.
says. What do you do then?
Well, if what I will do is, I don't know, first of all, I'm gonna see both sides and how heated it is, and obviously try to calm the situation down and control it. But
So
if
you would
it is-
so you would teleport them, tell them that this situation is out of character now, right?
Come again?
So you would teleport there and tell them that this situation is out of character now. You would pause the situation to investigate it, right? Because you.
After the situation.
No,
I
no.
will act after the situation is done.
So you're gonna. So you asked the question, that you get the answer, then you wait for the situation to be done.
No, I will ask.
Yeah,
why-
you asked, you
but
got a
after the
response.
situation has ended.
What? Oh, you're
I
gonna
will
ask
wait
only
and see.
after. You only gonna ask after the situation ended.
Yes,
That's
I will
interesting.
ask after it's ended,
Okay.
and I would only intervene if it's obvious mass DM.
Okay.
So,
So what
after
we,
it's ended, what you're gonna do is you're going to check if he is indeed acting on self-defense. You will confirm it. You will confirm the facts by yourself.
Okay.
Then you're going to see what were the other people planning on doing once they got inside. So like if they're going for an apartment, a specific apartment, and the guy was just, inside the hole, doing nothing, an innocent bystander,
Okay.
and he just got caught.
Okay, let me give you the response to that. Turns out, the person that was shooting was holding a party in their house. This is their home. They own that house. The people coming, they're coming because somebody made an ad about the party. The person that owns the house tells you that they did not make the ad. It was a private party among their private members. Turns out they were live streaming, and people metagamed and somehow found out the place where it was.
Alright,
So they all
we
came.
hold one metagaming punishment so far. So you're saying they busted in with a shotgun, they knocked the door down.
One person
because
shot
they
the door
wanted to
open.
Participate in the party.
Yes.
Well, self-defense is okay. I don't think that the guy is actually in the wrong because it is his own house.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if he knows the people. It could have been burglary, for example.
Yep.
So the guy that did it in self-defense, I think that I would let him walk free.
Yep.
And then I would punish the people for metagaming.
Okay. Also, you mentioned something about obviously mass DM. What would you define as obvious mass DM? Because
Right, so on RCRP, if you go on Monty, which is really tempting to some people, to take an AK and start shooting random people in Monty.
well, how do you know
Well-
the people they're shooting is just random? And not.
Because he's sitting in the middle of nowhere. They are usually shooting people that are standing on a green zone, because if it is something that you're not planning on breaking any rules and you actually have a reason, then obviously you're not gonna be shooting in a green zone,
Mhm.
in a safe zone. So even if you're going to do that, you should ask for permission first. So if he's doing that, he's in the wrong in the first place.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to the situation that we just talked about, I'm gonna send you a link because this is the situation that actually did happen to me.
Oh, you actually have it on video?
Yes, I'm gonna send you a link to the video so that you can check it out and laugh or do whatever you want. It's very funny.
Alright, it's
Personally.
okay, yeah.
Do you have access to it? Yes, you do. Okay, awesome. There you
Yes,
go.
I do.
Alright, so I'll send you the link. I'm gonna watch it myself. So the people who are still here, how many people do we have watching? I'm curious.
You have my faction watching.
17
but
people.
Right, that should be my faction in
Okay,
there.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We're
Right, so
actually
these people
getting.
bursted in.
Yeah, sorry.
Did you kill the correct people?
Mostly, there was one person that ran into the doorway and then out of the doorway, which I misinterpreted as somebody who was breaking in.
So you got banned for this.
I got briefly banned. I got banned for 1 hour, but that was enough to taint my reputation, and nobody went out to say, "Oh, that ban was false." I had to do it myself, and then nobody listened to me.
That only relies on the player to prove that his ban was uncalled for.
To be fair, yeah, they did remove.
And I don't see a reason why you got punished, but I do think that the admin might have done it in the heat of the moment.
Yep. Again,
so if
that's.
you had filed the ban appeal with the stream, with the video, posting proof that they were metagaming, and also proof that they had no reason.
Like I said, I got a banned afterwards. But if we had a procedure in place that said you have to go in, you have to investigate, and you have to check first, then maybe admins would be actually encouraged to check first before issuing punishments like that. Don't you think?
I kind of think yes, and I kind of think that this procedure happens. Like, it's not written in the papers.
That's the problem.
I don't know, but it also happens.
Why isn't it written down?
I got no clue. That's not me to ask.
It should be written down.
You mentioned that you spoke with Tommy B. Perhaps you could have asked him.
I've asked him like if they have a standard for guilty before innocent before guilty. They don't. They have.
Did you ask him, however, what you asked me?
I did not have that question at the time. That's a good point.
Perhaps you can try asking him.
One thing I want to ask you specifically, because you mentioned earlier that admins are never biased. That's what you said. Admins are never biased. They never make clouded judgments. You just said that because of the heat of the moment, the admin made a clouded judgment.
It's only human, though.
Yes, but you said admins never make clouded judgments, so that doesn't work. Either they never make clouded judgments, or they make clouded judgments in the heat of the moment. So which is it?
This is the exact procedure that I would follow, but the admin skipped a step. So what the admin did is he didn't take time to PM ask why you killed people.
Yeah, why is that? Because it's not written down. Because there's no rules in place. Because there's no procedures for admins.
Yeah, but you can't exactly say that, oh, the admin was waiting on you to take a slip and ban the almighty user one.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying that at all. No.
So there is no bias.
You saying there's no bias?
Yeah.
I got banned. Okay. If that's what you're looking for, I can get you that. I had a situation when my car alarm.
Is it the same admin?
Well, I've had situations with the same admin several times in another situation, but I want to talk about this one because it's more blatant. What happened was, I was inside and I heard a car alarm, because the car alarm in LSRP, it sends an alert to your phone.
Okay, yeah.
So I went outside and there was a bush between me and the vehicle that was being stolen. Yeah. Because this is a third-person game, I saw the perpetrator before I jumped the fence.
So you abused some physics?
By looking over the fence to see the perpetrator? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if your character didn't have direct line of sight on it, then you were kind of abusing some physics. So that's one LSRP rule broken.
I see. So you're saying that I broke an LSRP rule. Here's my defense. The reason.
However, the punishment, I am not aware. Like, I don't.
We're not talking about the punishment. We're talking about if something was wrong or right. You're saying it was wrong.
I'm saying that you saw him using your third person.
Yes, because it's a third-person game.
That your character has a camera on top of him.
Yes, a third-person game. Now let me give you a defense. The reason my character was outside was because they heard a car alarm. They got a notification about a car alarm. The intent was to go outside and check on their car. The fact that I saw somebody with a third-person camera by accident is irrelevant. It didn't change what my character was doing. Therefore, I did not break any rules.
So can we take a moment and you describe me the actual scene? So it was your car and it was a bush, and you saw the guy behind the bush.
No, I was inside a building. I received a notification on my phone.
Okay, yeah, I know. So you go outside.
I go outside, there's a bush in a way, there's like a fence, okay, there's like a fence area, and I'm inside the fence area, and there's a bush that I have to climb before getting to the car.
And the guy was behind the fence.
Yes.
Okay, so did you see him through third person and then act?
Yes. No, I didn't.
Okay.
I was acting all the way through, it didn't change anything.
If you didn't have third person and you had first person, is there any chance that you might have actually found him?
He was in my car.
Oh, okay then. He was breaking into your car.
He was inside my car, hot wiring it. Sorry, I guess that was the confusion.
Yeah, I thought he was behind the fence and you just, maybe
Okay,
saw him.
okay. No.
So it is justified if you would shoot someone that was, robbing
I
you.
was admin jailed. I wasn't reported by anybody. Somebody saw the video, and admin jailed me for abuse of third person. Before you tell me that bias doesn't exist, I am fairly convinced that it does. Okay?
How long was the admin jail for?
It doesn't matter. It means I can't apply to a government faction within a month.
Okay, so he got you for abusing the third person.
Yeah. I mean, it was retorted after I reported the admin, but that's not the point. Bias exists.
Had you not seen him? That's like one question that you could have asked, you could have listed there. Had you not seen him?
No. You don't get it. The ban was... The punishment was revoked. The punishment was voided. We are asking the question whether there is a bias. There is a bias, in my opinion.
Perhaps there could be. Perhaps. Yeah.
I'm saying there is a bias because people are human. When things are going against you and you can do something which you're not going to be held accountable for, you're an admin, you can fuck somebody over who has fucked you over in the past, you're going to do it. Because you're not held accountable for that. And that in itself is bias. That's what I'm saying. That's why... When we have vague rules like unrealistic roleplay, we cannot have serious punishments for them because of the acknowledgement that bias exists and we cannot get rid of it.
Yeah, well, sadly, I don't think that it is actually possible. Because as long as something is
to do what? To do what? Possible to do what?
As long as it's up to admin's
Possible to do what?
to eliminate this quote-unquote bias.
It's
that
not possible.
might
That's what we're
exist.
trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to eliminate bias.
So
we're
that's
trying
why
to...
you're suggesting that an admin procedure should be written on how you handle situations.
Exactly. So that every situation is handled depending on the things that are done, the choices that are made, the circumstances, and basically, like the way it is now, admins have very, at least from my perspective, either they don't have any guidelines or they're not abiding by their guidelines.
I absolutely agree with this. I do.
Okay.
But unless there is a reason to implement this, I'm not sure if they should.
Well, I'm giving you a reason. If you don't implement this, innocent people are punished.
If you are able to do it, if you do have the ability of doing it, then you should try at least to do it. But then, if you do have admin procedures, there may be crazy situations where there is no procedure on, and it would still land on the admin.
Yeah.
And even so,
here's the
if there
thing.
is
Here's the
a
thing.
procedure
Here's the thing.
and an admin is determined on punishing you for something with a biased opinion, she can still do it and cover up.
Absolutely. No, that is true. Here's the thing. With my system, there are specific punishments, okay? So for mild offenses, you can't get over 7 days. And that's only... and that is not decided by the admin. Admins don't decide the punishment. They decide if the burden of proof to prove that there was a rule breaking was met. So they decide if they can prove a rule breaking. They don't decide the punishment. The punishment is decided by a script that looks at if it's a mild offense within the past month, and within the serious offenses within the past year. So, in this system, if an admin is biased and wants to punish an innocent person, first of all, they'll have to submit the evidence that they actually broke a rule. Sufficient evidence. They can't do it otherwise. And if they do it otherwise, the player can report them for punishing without sufficient evidence, and they will be punished, and their punishment will be revoked. That system does not exist.
You have the ability to report the admin after you got banned.
Everybody has the ability to appeal any punishment. That's one of our mottos. If you look at
Good.
the
So what you did is you proved that the admin made a bad decision.
yes, exactly.
happens to
We
that
did not prove bias. That is true. We cannot prove bias. It's okay. We can prove bias sometimes. It's very difficult to prove bias.
Yeah.
But the point is, we can prove that an admin didn't meet the burden of proof necessary to say that somebody broke a rule. And if that's the case, the person should get unpunished.
As long as you have evidence that you did things by the book, did not break any rules. and
That's
as
the
long
thing.
as you
No. You don't even need that. Because here's the thing. Why is it guilty until proven innocent? Why do we get punished first and then we have to prove that we're innocent? How do you even prove that you did everything by the book if you weren't recording it every second? That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to expect every player.
I actually know what you're saying, and I used to be in a situation, plenty of situations back in the day where I didn't have shadow play, where I didn't have evidence of stuff, and I lost a lot of reports and a lot of ban appeals because I didn't have the proof.
Yeah.
What I did is I just downloaded a software that kept the replay.
So
And nowadays it's
yeah.
really easy.
So every player is expected. Every player, no matter how bad their computer is, no matter how poor they are, and they can't afford to have shadow play, running all the time, because maybe they don't have a video card good enough.
Yeah, I understand. Even if your PC is bad, you always have screenshots. You always do have screenshots.
My problem is that you're trying to prove somebody is innocent. So a person gets banned on the word that the admin made that they broke a rule, and now that person has to go and say, I didn't break the rule, here's the evidence. Why is it not the admin's responsibility to post the evidence?
Well, that's because you are already, the admin is doing his work as a volunteer. I don't think he gets paid for it. So that's one. And B, for the time the admin dedicates, you shouldn't put more burden and request more effort.
More than necessary, absolutely. We don't need to put more than necessary burden on the admins. Why isn't evidence that somebody broke a rule a necessary burden?
Right.
If they are in position of power, if they're in position of authority to revoke somebody from the community, why isn't it necessary for them to get the evidence?
Well, that's a good question. If I was an admin, perhaps I could answer this. But sadly, I'm not. However, I do find that that's a good question to ask.
Have you seen the frequently asked questions text channel at the very top?
That one, no sir, I missed that.
You can check it out. It's basically, if you have questions about what roleplay union is, it's all right there. It tells you that we believe that rules in the community should be descriptive and consistently enforced among all members and staff. Community members and staff should not be punished in the long term unless definitively proven to be rule breaking. Rule enforcement shall always be subject to appeals, and any individual is able to appeal their punishment. It is important to be honest and acknowledge imperfections in members, staff, and system that governs penalties to amend and improve them. I think the situation that happens right now is that nobody cares about admitting imperfections. Nobody cares about...
When you are making a character, when you're joining the community, I think you do have to check a box that says, I agree to the terms and conditions or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to agree.
However, those state that this is how the server works. So by the moment you join, you should be fully aware of what you're getting into.
Yeah, you can get banned
afterwards.
for no reason. You can be banned for no reason. That's pretty much what they say.
If you don't have the evidence, there is a possibility of it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the bottom line of the issue that I'm trying to address. It is stupid to expect every single person to have evidence to prove their innocence from every conceivable claim of any rogue admins. It takes one rogue admin. They can easily cover their tracks and just use their word to ban an innocent player with the system that we have right now.
Yeah, but it won't be long until that bias is uncovered. And if someone does
But
have
the damage
access
is already
to
done.
well, the damage is already done. That's one thing, but
And
what
there
you
is
can
no
do-
way to normally uncover it. It is up to the other admins, not the players. Players can't do anything in that system. In this system, I have personally been punished already for harassing somebody when I was drinking a little too much, as I explained earlier. People can hold admins accountable in this system, and that's the idea.
Oh, how many times I've seen people blaming admins and stuff.
Yeah, but they
It's
need
like-
evidence to blame anybody.
Yeah.
They can judge and they can make discussions all they want. They can criticize, they can do all that. That's fine. That doesn't matter. When you're talking about formal actions, when you're talking about banning somebody in our community, you need evidence. That's the idea.
If you request an admin to show you evidence, I
They're not
do
required
believe that
to.
he will.
Yeah, but they're not required to.
But then again, imagine it on the community side that an admin bans someone, and when asked for why he did it, what led him to do it, he won't like share the evidence. That reflects to the admin badly, first of all, and it will eventually attract attention.
So it's all about reputation, not evidence, as it stands right now.
There is this law enforcing system by the admins, and then there is the management, which does look, which will look into an admin, should there be the reason to. So what I'm
To
saying
them.
is, the damage may be done, it may be done, but sooner or later, that guy won't run free without it getting noted.
Yeah,
That's
what
I'm
what
saying.
really concerns me is that earlier today you told me that admins don't have any biases.
Yeah, I did say that, and that.
Do you
I
stand
meant
by that?
I do stand by that, but on RCRP, because as you just proved me on LSRP, there may be. But what I can say is that on RCRP, I haven't seen a single situation of that.
So how come they're not biased if they're people? Aren't people biased inherently?
You may be biased because you like someone.
Yes.
But
Like if
the
your friend gets
admin
reported, you're gonna give them bias, you're gonna give them leniency. That's exactly
the
what I
admin
mean.
is fully aware that he has to do his duty.
Yes.
There have been admins that have gotten punished, I think, because of bias or whatever. I'm not sure.
Yeah, like cops are
Because I
also
don't-
cops
I
are
can't
also aware that they have to do their duty. That doesn't stop them from being corrupt.
Well, the cops, yeah. Well, that's an IC thing, though, isn't it? On the server.
I mean, in real life cops.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, but they sooner or later they all get caught.
Yeah, like after 40 years or something, there was a case recently unveiled by a cop who had the ability to
The system,
suppress and
however,
fabricate evidence.
It consistently proves it's not perfect, and no community.
No
can say that
system,
it's
no
perfect.
system is perfect. No system is ever
Exactly.
gonna be perfect. But
It
we
will
are
be
trying
fun.
to. We're trying to. What I'm saying right now is it's so vague. The rules. Okay, well, this probably isn't an issue as much on RCRP. But I feel like a lot of times people get judged more by their reputation rather by what they can actually prove that they've done, which is troublesome, in my opinion, because that kind of kills the whole point of playing on a community when you can't even do things that other people will not agree with. You can't do any unpopular things, basically.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why do you have to be popular? Why do you have to be reputable? Why do you have to have all these friends at high places? That's stupid. That's how it works in real life. But this is why we're separate. This is why we're playing a video game. Can we at least pretend that we can have a justice system?
There is a justice system, but I mean.
Not in Red County roleplay or
what
Sun's
you say-
roleplay.
Wait, there isn't on RCRP?
In character-wise, but out of character-wise, there's no burden of proof set by an administrator. And that's what I mean by
Right.
justice system. They don't have to prove guilt. The person has to prove innocence. That's the point that I'm trying to get across. And I'm trying to do something different.
I would go to some extent to find a specific complaint, but that would take time. I can do it off stream to prove you that there is an actual.
I mean, if you want to talk about time, we spent like almost 2 hours after I was supposed to end this.
It's a free day for me today. It's gonna be a free day for me tomorrow. I've got nothing to do.
We are planning to redesign the whole roleplay union like Discord. so that instead of having kind of interviews at the end of the week, we have discussions during the week, and then we can look at them and talk about the things that we've learned. Because right now these discussions, they haven't, like, we've talked about, oh, we'll look at the top suggestions, but we haven't really been doing that for the past couple of weeks. We have been more talking to people about certain topics. But yeah, we're gonna restructure it so that we can actually talk with people. We can hear their opinion. We can talk about these discussions, these topics.
Right.
But what do you think about the idea of a community that actually does not punish
Huh?
people? What do you think? So let's make a conclusion. What do you
Yeah.
think about a community that, instead of punishing people when they feel like they have broken a rule, they only punish those that they can prove have broken rules?
It would be okay. It would be good. It would be.
Would it be
But-
better than the system that we have right now?
I would blindly trust an admin to ban someone who is doing something wrong on the spot, and I wouldn't personally ask for evidence.
Again, that's great, but what if
But
that
then again,
admin
if
banned?
an admin has this, if it's his way of doing stuff without justifying them, then I think that sooner or later he's gonna get proven that.
Yeah. After a year, after 2 years, maybe never. Yeah, sure.
No, it
Sooner or
doesn't
later.
take that long. If you
But
stay,
what does it take? What does it take for an admin to get punished? Because I don't think I've seen that very often at all.
an admin complaint,
Well, isn't an admin complaint on Red County Roleplay handled by the admin himself?
there are admin complaints. You can
Yeah,
do that.
yeah, but they're handled by the admin that is reported.
Well, can you repeat? You lagged out.
These admin complaints, they are handled by the admins that are complained against.
There are, well, not by admins. There have been admin complaints where management itself intervened.
Okay.
So, yes, like for example, well, I'm not gonna go ahead and say names.
No, don't
but
say
if
names.
You go and browse. If you go and browse,
You can send a link in evidence in the chat, and I will blur out
I'm
any
gonna
names.
send you the archive of the administrator complaints, and you can browse them freely. But I'm never ever going to pinpoint names, complaints, or whatever.
Sure.
But the management itself intervenes, and it does intervene constantly. There has been an event, I don't remember when exactly, when management itself got admins and they removed them because they were, I don't know, quote unquote corrupt. I don't know, because they weren't doing things by the book.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
But the question I want to ask you is, would it be a better system to have admins have to submit evidence within 48 hours?
It sounds good. Personally, it would be good, and I would appreciate it if the admin would, in my ban appeal, if the admin would post all of the evidence on why he did what.
Yeah,
but
they don't have to do
the
that
other
right
side,
now.
I don't have the complaint that the admins never did that.
Okay, I
Because
get what you're coming from.
I got banned once, but the admin did give me the full reason and the evidence on why he did that.
Yeah, this is the problem that we have with this specific topic, because it doesn't happen to a lot of people. It happens to people that are not trying to, like people like me, who are not necessarily trying to stick with the norm. I'm just doing my own thing. I'm making characters that I like to play, and I try to stick within the rules. But at the same time, I don't make it a mission to go out and gain reputation. You know what I mean? That's not a mission that I go out to do. I make a mission to make a character and play the character.
It's not my goal either, though, to gain reputation. My goal is to lead my faction to success.
Yeah, but you are in very tight communication with administrators, though, as I understand.
Well,
because you're running a faction. Because you run a faction.
By
You're
being a good leader, by being a respectful person, and by treating situations respectfully, you do gain respect.
Yeah.
That's something that you can't really control.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that being said, reputation can always be misleading, and that's another concern.
Someone can use the reputation. Someone can, get influenced by the reputation itself. I'm not saying that it's not possible, But yeah, I'm just saying it that it's unlikely as well.
Okay. Well, I think we're
How-
gonna finish it up for today.
Can I give some shoutouts?
No shoutouts. Sorry
Come
about
on,
that.
man.
We have a strict no shoutouts rule because
How
then
about-
because then everybody's just gonna come in here to make
Huh?
shoutouts. Everybody's just gonna come in here to do shoutouts. Okay.
Yeah, but they are also trolling. But I actually sat respectfully and chatted
I
for
get
a while.
that. I get that. Wait, did you shout?
How about 2 names only?
No. Alright, take care, man. You have a good day.
Kermit.
I have to enforce rules equally against everybody. That's the point of the community. Otherwise,
Fair,
I might not as well have not.
Alright, I'll go back
Sorry,
to my
I
friend
can't.
Kermit and play Crips 83 out alone. Peace.
You have a. Did you just shout them out? He did just shout them out, didn't he? I don't want to ban him. God damn it! Oh, I don't want to ban him. See, that's the one of the fucking things. It's very difficult to enforce rules equally against everybody. It is very difficult because some of these rules, they are not necessarily like. I gotta think about how rules are enforced. I gotta think about all that going forward, making my own community, and I think what I'm gonna do with the list that I made myself of the the rules. And I'm not done with the list. I'm not done with it, but as it stands now, I'm pretty comfortable with it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send it off to the announcements page so that you guys can have a look and judge for yourself, okay? Because I want to hear your opinion on this whole idea. So in the announcements, I tried writing in-game rules myself. So it should be, hold on, should it post in the announcements? You know, I should also have subsection rules for different. Yeah, this shouldn't be. Yeah, this shouldn't be an announcement. This should be like maybe a suggestion. Maybe general chat. I don't know. Is this a good place? Okay, I'll have to figure it out. Let's go back to the topic. I think the thing that we learned today is that a lot of people have this miscommunication about the point of the roleplay union. I think a lot of people have different experiences with administration and staff members. Some people have a good experience, some people have a bad experience. What I'm trying to do is to create a system which makes it difficult for people who are ill-intentioned to actually exercise their power. Because let's get the wool from underneath our eyes. Just because somebody has a name of an admin, just because somebody was selected to become an admin, doesn't mean they don't have bad intentions. We've seen admins selling in-character weapons for out-of-character money. It's possible for admins to be corrupt. It's possible. For that reason, we have to seek evidence. For that reason, we have to look to make sure that the admins are acting accordingly, and we have to hold them accountable. The only way you're gonna prevent somebody from doing something bad is if you hold them accountable for that bad thing. At least that's my opinion. Anyway, I'm gonna post it in announcements so that I'm not gonna tag anybody, so that you guys can have a look yourself. And there we go. If you look at that, there you go. It's an announcement. Roleplay your in-game rules, so you can yourself have a look at the in-game rules that I have come up with. See if maybe what you feel about them. I want to hear your opinion. How about you write that opinion in suggestion discussion, in the suggestion discussion text channel. So that would be this text channel, suggestion discussion, in the text channels, and the actual thing is in the announcements up here. There it is. I want to hear you guys' opinions about the rules, specifically point out the rules, and we're gonna restructure the Discord so that it will be easier to talk about different suggestions, different rules, so that we can all build this community that focuses on only punishing people who are actually guilty and allowing people to do whatever they want as long as they are not guilty. That's because roleplay should be about freedom, in my opinion. Roleplay should be about freedom. Game should be fun. We shouldn't have all this drama. We shouldn't have all this nonsense. We shouldn't be getting banned without evidence. This is nonsense. This is nonsense of what's going on right now. And I'm trying to stand up against the nonsense, but okay, well. Anyway, this is an experiment that I'm trying to do, see if I can make things better. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this 4-hour live stream that we just did. I hope you guys understood the point of all of this, of the roleplay union. I hope you guys have a great evening, and make sure you stay awesome.